a man was seen surrounded by many workers. The man was none other than the protagonist, Chen Luo. All the workers were telling him about his delivery, as they had delivered the ordered items on time. The first worker came with 100 portions of fried chicken buckets. Similarly, others had brought 100 portions of roasted duck, sweet and sour pork ribs, and braised crucian carp. Hearing this, Chen Luo responded with an okay and told them they could all go. Everyone agreed to leave since the delivery was completed. As they left, all the workers murmured and discussed Chen Luo, making sarcastic comments and gossiping about him. One worker asked if Chen Luo had brought so many dishes because he was a hungry ghost. Another responded that rich people could do anything. However, the first worker did not agree and sarcastically Jianand that Chen Luo was nothing but a rich idiot. While they were all leaving, Chen Luo stood silently. Once they were gone, he slowly opened the back door of the truck. Seeing the cartons of food, he felt dazzled, as it was a very pleasant feeling for him to be surrounded by such food and delicacies. Chen Luo then wondered who would have thought that he was starving and suffering amidst the apocalypse just 3 days earlier. Now, the main question arises. What was Chen Luo talking about and why was he storing so much food? As if we were there, we wouldn't be able to stop ourselves from eating it. Slowly, Chen Luo stored all of his food magically in some type of void. Here comes the actual story, as Chen Luo shared that in 27 days, the world would be struck by an apocalypse. At that time, 80% of humans would turn into zombies, and at least 90% of the remaining humans would die at the hands of zombies. A small portion of the survivors would gain supernatural powers. He also shared that there were different types of powers. Some gained physical power, while others gained elemental or psychological superpowers. However, he was the only one who obtained a very rare space attribute superpower and became known as the Void Sovereign. Ever since Chen Luo mastered the ability of void traveling, a skill that excelled in both offense and survivability in battles, he thrived in the apocalypse like a fish in water. Despite his immense power, he always acted pitifully, constantly hiding until all the other survivors eventually died. The world was filled with increasingly absurd monsters, and Chen Luo couldn't find a single human. Eventually, he grew too lonely, and he no longer wanted to live. But here comes another twist. Chen Luo was so lucky that he got reincarnated, or perhaps sent back in time. To his surprise, after sleeping, he found himself back in his home when he woke up. Upon checking, he discovered that he had been transported 27 days before the apocalypse arrived. He was indeed fortunate. First, he obtained a rare power that allowed him to survive, and now he had been reincarnated. But it wasn't the end. Despite all his powers disappearing, one remained. The subspace he had created in his previous life was still with him. In the apocalypse, the most important thing was food and resources, as humans needed food to survive. No one could ever live without it. Happily, Chen Luo had his subspace, which could freeze time and keep the food fresh. Realizing this, Chen Luo became incredibly happy and decided to use his subspace with full efficiency. How could he let such an opportunity, granted by the heavens, slip through his hands? When he successfully stored his food, Chen Luo suddenly received a call. Upon picking up, a person on the other end of the phone shouted at Chen Luo, asking him to come to the office immediately for a talk. Surprisingly, Chen Luo smiled and said that he wouldn't be so naive this time with his uncle. It was indeed a call from his uncle, and Chen Luo was determined not to repeat the mistakes he had made in the past. The scene then shifted to Chen Luo's office, indicating that he belonged to a wealthy family, which explained why he never had financial problems like in other stories. In the office, Chen Luo's uncle named Chen Jianan shouted at him, demanding to know why he sold shares worth more than 3 billion for 1 billion. Chen Jianan continued to question why Chen Luo hadn't informed him and whether Chen Luo didn't consider him as his uncle. But Chen Luo remained calm, simply listening to Chen Jianan's words without reacting. Chen Jianan then told Chen Luo that if he was being threatened by someone or facing any problems, Chen Luo should tell him or just blink his eyes, and his uncle would take care of everything. Hearing this, Chen Luo wondered if his uncle was really acting, as he had personally heard from his cousin, Chen Fei, during the apocalypse, that his uncle was the one who planned his parents' death. It was revealed that Chen Jianan had schemed the car accident that killed Chen Luo's parents, and had even embezzled the original shares of the organization that his parents had left for him. Frustrated, Chen Luo realized that he could have remained in the dark for the rest of his life, believing that Chen Jianan was a good person. So, Chen Luo responded to his uncle, saying that no one had threatened him. He simply had a hunch that the price of pork would rise significantly again, reaching 50 catty per pork, which wasn't like a dream. Therefore, the 1 million worth of pork he had bought would increase in value to 5 million. He suddenly got excited and shared that he thought it could be sold at 100 catty per pork, which he didn't consider an impossible task in the future. Hearing all that from Chen Luo, Chen Jianan became furious and frustrated. He started wondering if Chen Luo really believed in such a ridiculous dream, and if it wasn't essentially madness. But Chen Jianan decided to set aside his frustration and asked Chen Luo why he hadn't sold him those shares for 1.5 billion. Chen Luo tensely denied, apologizing and explaining that he had already sold them and the contract had been signed, making it impossible to buy them back from that young master. Hearing this, Chen Jianan fell silent and didn't know what to say. Suddenly, Chen Luo's phone rang, so he apologized to his uncle and said he needed to pick up the call. Frustrated, Chen Jianan, despite his caring personality in front of Chen Luo, wasn't able to do anything. He told Chen Luo to pick up his phone, saying it wasn't a problem for him. As Chen Luo left the cabin, Chen Jianan wondered how Chen Luo could do something like that. He decided that he must teach Chen Luo a lesson. On the other end, Chen Luo picked up his phone and asked who was calling. The person on the other end replied that they had found the dog Chen Luo entrusted them to search for. It was a black-haired dog with one ear missing, and they had sent a photo to him. The person asked Chen Luo to confirm if it was the lost dog. Excited, Chen Luo wondered if it could really be that dog. He responded with an okay and said he would check it right away. Chen Luo then shared that just after the apocalypse, some busybodies who were bored ranked the super ability users. So naturally, Void was first, which was him, and Fire was first, held by a person with the title of Scarlet Rose. As for Lightning, the first was a dog called Lightning King. Chen Luo agreed with the ranking, acknowledging that any creature that didn't turn into a zombie had a chance to develop an ability. However, he hadn't expected it to be a dog. When there was no food in the apocalypse, that dog was a fresh find for them. Many people had their eyes on the dog, but all failed except Chen Luo, who was the only one cunning enough to eat it. He knew it all too well. Suddenly, while sharing the memory, Chen Luo's mouth watered as he remembered the taste of it. When Chen Luo saw the photo, he became assured that it was indeed the same dog, as the notched left ear was proof. Chen Luo thought that now he had infinite food for this life. So why didn't he make the dog his companion? He would treat the dog well, and they both could enjoy good food and drinks together. Chen Luo then asked the person to send him the address of the dog, as he didn't want to waste any time. He moved forward towards the location, thinking that the dog should wait for him. He hoped that the dog would acknowledge him as its master, as he intended to treat it well. Before going, Chen Luo met with his uncle Chen Jianan and told him that he had some work, so he would leave early. Chen Jianan responded with an okay, and asked Chen Luo to meet as soon as possible again. While leaving, Chen Luo smiled, feeling pity for his uncle, as his uncle wouldn't get another chance to meet with him again because on the day when the apocalypse occurred, Chen Jianan and his son both died. So Chen Jianan left fully, as he wanted just for the time being. The scene then shifted to 1 hour later at Dog Meat Hall, where Chen Luo saw a dog kept in a cage. The dog was making a very pitiful face, seeing which Chen Luo wondered if the dog knew its own appearance during the apocalypse. Chen Luo moved forward toward the dog and smiled, saying that the dog shouldn't worry, as his brother had come to save him. He then furiously turned his face back and asked where the shop's boss was. Chen Luo shouted for the boss to come out as soon as possible. The owner of the shop, named Pasha, came out and politely asked Chen Luo why he had come to find him. Chen Luo pointed his finger toward the dog and asked if Pasha still dared to question why he had come, accusing Pasha of stealing his dog. Chen Luo said that if he hadn't discovered it in time, his black dog would have become food by now. Chen Luo also mentioned that, initially, he remembered the black dog was a stray and didn't have an owner, so he adopted it. He then asked Pasha again if the dog had purposely come to trouble him. To this, Pasha responded that he bought all of them from official channels, and that dogs almost looked the same, so he thought Chen Luo was mistaken. Hearing this, Chen Luo smiled and asked if Pasha really said official channels. Chen Luo warned Pasha again, asking why he didn't call the police to verify if Pasha really got the dogs from official channels. Chen Luo said this because he believed there was no business without fraud and was confident that Pasha wouldn't allow the police to investigate the shop. And as Chen Luo thought, it happened exactly as expected. Pasha furiously moved toward Chen Luo, shouting that he couldn't do that. Chen Luo laughed and asked if Pasha wanted to fight, adding that since Pasha was brave, he would teach him a lesson. Saying this, Chen Luo grabbed Pasha's hand and kicked it, causing Pasha to fall to the ground. Chen Luo smiled and thought to himself that he had trained so much during the apocalypse, so he didn't need to be afraid of Pasha. Pasha howled in pain from Chen Luo's attack. Chen Luo then asked how Pasha felt now and if he still wanted to fight with him. Surprisingly, Pasha began begging Chen Luo to leave him alone, insisting it was a big misunderstanding and that he truly didn't know it was Chen Luo's dog. Pasha started taking out the dog, saying that he would go and teach a lesson to the person who sold him the black dog. He also told Chen Luo that he could take his dog back for free, without any payment. Chen Luo responded with an okay, acknowledging Pasha's good attitude, and decided to let him go this time. Deep down, Chen Luo was happy because he was even willing to pay all his money for the black dog. However, as everyone knows, free things are liked by everyone, so why would Chen Luo deny an offer like that? Finally, Chen Luo got the dog, and Pasha also asked Chen Luo to take the dog and leave his shop with ease. Chen Luo then named the dog Blackie and asked him to come as they were going home. While inside, Chen Luo wondered if, judging by the expression of the dog, it should have spirituality and be able to understand human language, right? Chen Luo was right. Blackie could hear and understand his words. Blackie was shocked and wondered who Chen Luo called Blackie. But still, he thought that since Chen Luo saved him, he wondered if he should go with Chen Luo. Seeing that, Chen Luo became happy as the dog really had spirituality, so he got himself a Lightning King so easily. After the dog and Chen Luo got settled inside the car, Chen Luo told Blackie that from now on, he would call him Dharma King and he would live with him. At this, Dharma King barked with a happy face. While they were heading back home, Chen Luo contemplated about nurturing their relationship with each other. So he told Dharma King that he would first go and get some supplies for him. On their way, Chen Luo saw a guard and stopped before him. Standing there, Chen Luo wondered about the guard named Sudhaju. He was happy that he got to meet Sudhaju again. Chen Luo then shared that in his past life, before he grasped the void ability, Sudhaju used his body to block the mutants so that Chen Luo could escape, and Sudhaju was killed in the process just to protect him. Chen Luo looked towards Sudhaju again and smiled, deciding that in this present life, he would ensure that Sudhaju had a good life. Chen Luo asked Sudhaju if he wanted to go out with him after he got off from work. Sudhaju responded with a no, explaining that his mother always said boys shouldn't wander and become bad. Hearing this, Chen Luo asked Sudhaju what else his mother said. Sudhaju responded that his mother said there was nothing to show courtesy to, as it was either bad things like robbery. Chen Luo was stunned hearing this from Sudhaju, as Sudhaju was comparing a night-out party to robbery. Chen Luo didn't know how to respond, and deep down, he was wondering that according to the timeline, he and Sudhaju weren't familiar enough. However, it didn't matter, as Sudhaju would be on duty when the apocalypse occurred, so when the incident happened again, they would definitely become brothers. The scene then shifted to sometime later, where Dharma was looking very shocked. Actually, Dharma was shocked to see the pool Chen Luo had in his house. Chen Luo took Dharma towards the pool and told him that for the time being, it was his house, and first they would take a shower. In the pool, Chen Luo was washing Dharma's body with a scrubber and soap, and while washing, he was wondering that after being reborn, he didn't want to live like his past life. Also, he didn't want to be the only one who survived. Chen Luo then thought of a general idea. Since supernatural beings would be able to show their talents in the future, why didn't he build a gathering place? Just like what he did for Dharma King, he would do the same for the rest. Chen Luo was even using a blower to soak the water from Dharma's body, and Dharma was impressed by it. He also thought that it was nice, as he could make up for the void ability not specialized in head-on combat. If Chen Luo wants to build a gathering place, he needs more resources, including staple food, fruits, salt, vegetables, seeds, generators, medicine, utensils, and more. Most importantly, water, as all water sources were polluted after the apocalypse, and the viruses contained in them cannot be purified by any means. Chen Luo also shared that if someone wants to drink pure water, then he or she has to wait for the rain. Suddenly, he slapped his forehead, making a weird face, which shocked Dharma, who wondered what happened to him. Chen Luo then shouted that he forgot he firstly needs to prepare a batch of high-voltage electric batons too. Hearing this, Dharma got scared and looked tensely towards Chen Luo. Chen Luo patted his head and asked Dharma not to take tension, as it was for the zombies and not him. Chen Luo then thought that in the starting of the apocalypse, the electric batons were like godly weapons. Excited by the idea, Chen Luo decided to buy a few sets of alloy armors. Hastily, he started scrolling his phone to book the order, while thinking carefully to choose wisely when placing the order. The scene then shifted to some time later, where Chen Luo and Dharma were eating their food. However, Dharma was eating so hastily that Chen Luo asked him to slow down. Otherwise, he would choke. After finishing their food, Chen Luo told Dharma that they had plenty of stockpiled food, so Chen Luo promised him that they would eat delicious food in the future. While talking, Chen Luo casually disposed of the leftover chicken bone. Seeing Dharma doing the same, Chen Luo felt happy as Dharma was copying him. However, Chen Luo was still lost in thought about something when suddenly, to his surprise, someone came to his door and began knocking. When Chen Luo opened the door, there was a beautiful lady standing outside his home. Seeing her, Chen Luo asked who she was. The girl introduced herself as Lady Mayu. Hearing the name, Chen Luo was stunned, as she was the cooking teacher he had hired for himself. Chen Luo apologized to Mayu for forgetting about the cooking class lesson and smilingly asked her to come inside. On the other hand, seeing Chen Luo like that, Mayu wondered that Chen Luo was giving her 50,000 wen just for teaching him cooking, so he must be a rich person. She was also happy that it seemed to her like she didn't have to worry about the employer using any tricks. But after seeing Chen Luo, she felt relieved. She also wondered, given Chen Luo's conditions, how many beautiful ladies outside couldn't be seduced, and whether Chen Luo had thoughts about her. Inside the kitchen Chen Luo showed Mayu that the utensils and ingredients she had asked for were already ready in advance. But deep down, he was wondering that in order to prevent all kinds of uncertainties in the apocalypse, he couldn't just have supplies but also needed cooking skills. Therefore, he needed to spend a lot of money to hire Mayu as a chef. Mayu then got ready and shared that first she would teach him how to cook sweet and sour pork ribs. Chen Luo responded with an okay, but deep down, he was happy, because he knew he only had to pay Mayu's salary for 1 month. A time that would definitely not come in the post-apocalyptic world. Chen Luo was making the food, and Mayu was instructing him on what to do. Mayu asked him to cut the ribs into smaller pieces and blanch them in a pan with cold water for a while. Then she asked Chen Luo to pour oil, but surprisingly, he was pouring too much. Seeing this, Mayu asked if his oil did not cost any money and why he poured so much. Again, when it was time to use salt, he mistakenly used sugar, causing Mayu to shout at him, asking why he couldn't differentiate between sugar and salt. At last, the dish turned out so pathetic that Mayu gave it to the dog, but even the dog wouldn't eat it. Mayu told Chen Luo that he finally made some improvements, but Chen Luo was tense and sad that the food he cooked wasn't even eaten by the dog, so she didn't need to comfort him. Dharma was also barking furiously at Mayu, as he had no grudges against the owner and wondered why she was trying to poison him. Mayu then clarified her motive by saying that at least the kitchen Luo didn't get burned during Chen Luo's cooking. Chen Luo, hearing this, was stunned and didn't respond. Instead, he thought that he was really not fit to cook and that he could only rely on a royal chef. Mayu then said goodbye to Chen Luo and left his house. After Mayu left, Chen Luo started wondering about her skills, realizing they weren't bad. It was such a pity they didn't know each other in the past. He also wondered what happened to her after the apocalypse occurred. Chen Luo was actually thinking about her because he was considering recruiting her as his chef. But in the end, he just hoped for her luck to be good. The scene then shifted to some time later, where Chen Luo was taking a walk. Suddenly, he saw someone and wondered if it was really them. Next, it showed that he saw a duo of sisters named Millie and Milling. Chen Luo shared that these sisters weren't simple. After Milling awakened her fire ability, she became the first person with such an ability, and was called the Scarlet Rose Spirit Flame Princess. What's more amazing was her younger sister Millie, who was a light element ability user. Even though her combat skills were weak, she was a strong support healer. Chen Luo also shared that he heard she could use a revive technique in the later stages. Chen Luo then got serious, thinking about them. He believed that while only kids make choices, he would get his hands on them no matter what. So he made a call to a person named Raka, who had previously found out about the dog. Chen Luo told Raka that he was giving him 3 days to find out information about a pair of sisters, including what they like to eat. He emphasized that this was very important because he believed in the saying that if someone wants to capture a girl's heart, food is the best choice. Therefore, he decided that whatever they liked to eat, he would stock up on it. As more days passed, the scene shifted to 5 days before the apocalypse occurred. Chen Luo noticed that Milling liked Sichuan cuisine, and her favorite fruit was grapes. Meanwhile, Millie liked braised pig's trotters, and her favorite fruit was watermelon. This reminded him that classic dishes tasted very good, so he should stock some as well. The next day, Chen Luo was checking an armor he ordered for himself and Sudhaju. After wearing it, Chen Luo shared that it wasn't bad, as even though it was heavy, it could guarantee his safety. Now, Chen Luo was thinking about the way of sending the second armor he brought to give it to Sudhaju. With only 3 days left before the apocalypse occurred, he was holding an electric baton. The dealer told Chen Luo that the high-voltage electricity released by the electric baton could stun a person instantly, and it could even incapacitate a person within a few seconds, so Chen Luo needed to use it very carefully. Chen Luo was happy holding the baton because he was thinking that he could easily kill hundreds of zombies with it. The scene shifted to the next day, where Chen Luo was asking someone about a truck as he wanted to buy it. The owner responded with an okay as he would soon tell the price to Chen Luo. The scene then comes to the night just before the apocalypse would occur. Here, Chen Luo was trying to sleep on the bed, but he was tense and thinking of so many scenarios, which made it impossible for him to have a peaceful sleep. Actually, he was wondering if he had been reborn. Would the apocalypse still come? If it didn't, then the stocked resources would be a big loss. But soon, he hoped that the apocalypse wouldn't occur so that he could sacrifice himself for the benefit of the whole country. This shows how good and generous Chen Luo was as a human being. After that, he thought that even after the loss, he would still be rich. So wasn't it good to enjoy life in a peaceful world? Why experience a dangerous and inhuman apocalypse? The next day, just 1 hour and 20 minutes before the apocalypse would occur, Chen Luo called his uncle Chen Jianan and apologized for disturbing him early in the morning, but he had something he needed Chen Jianan's help with. Chen Jianan happily responds with a yes and asks Chen Luo to tell him what problem he has, as he would definitely help him no matter what. Chen Luo then explains that he thinks the virtual currency would rise, possibly increasing by 8 to 10 times. Chen Luo also tells Chen Jianan that, as Chen Jianan knows, he used the money to buy pork meat. So, he wants to mortgage all of his hoard, which was worth 1 billion to him, but he only wants to borrow 500 million. He assures Chen Jianan that when his 500 million becomes 5 million, he will definitely pay him back with interest. Chen Luo then asks why Chen Jianan didn't wait for him at his home, as he would personally go find him to talk about it, and it would be nice if his brother Chen Luo Chenfei would also be there to join them. Chen Jianan responds with an okay and asks Chen Luo to come as soon as he could. While going out of the house towards Chen Jianan's house, Chen Luo smiles and shouts that he told them that on the day of the apocalypse outbreak, they must die. On his way, when Chen Luo reached near Chen Jianan's house, he asked Dharma to wait in the car as he was going to handle some personal business and requested for safety's sake not to run anywhere. Dharma responded by barking and shaking his head. Just as Chen Luo started going forward, he saw Sudaju and thought that even though Sudaju lived well in his last life without his help, it was a matter of fate, so he decided to help a bit. So he goes near Sudaju, and seeing Chen Luo in the car, Sudaju asks Chen Luo if he was leaving. To which Chen Luo responds that he came there to tell him one thing. When he woke up in the morning, he had a bad feeling that something massive was going to happen, so when it would be 9 a.m., Sudaju needs to be careful. He even asks for a promise from Sudaju. Sudaju responds with an okay, promising him to be careful. The scene then shifted to some time later at Chen Jianan's house, where Chen Fei and Chen Jianan were discussing Chen Luo. Chen Jianan told Chen Fei that Chen Luo actually wants to invest in the virtual currency, which shows that Chen Luo really wasn't afraid of it. Chen Jianan then shared with Chen Fei that he was shocked by Chen Luo's decision, because he could tell that even though that thing was rising rapidly, it had no realistic value. Hearing all that, Chen Fei was confused and asked Chen Jianan how there could be any reason not to do the money-making business delivered to their doorstep. Chen Jianan responded that Chen Luo knows he was going to trick him and asked Chen Fei if he thought Chen Luo would do a trade that was profitable for them but not for him. So Chen Jianan wonders whether it was a scam planned by Chen Luo for them. Chen Fei shares that he understands the psychology of speculation in virtual currency. He even gives an example of it by comparing virtual currency with Chen Jianan's gambling habits, as Chen Jianan always rushes to use money in gambling. Chen Fei also points out that similarly, Chen Luo would be in a hurry, and there was no one like Chen Jianan who could give 500 million at once. So, that was the reason why Chen Luo came to them. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door, and upon hearing it, they got serious and decided to be careful all the time. When Chen Luo enters the room, it was already past 9 a.m., and still, they didn't know anything because they were inside a closed air conditioning room. Chen Fei, without greeting Chen Luo, told him that he would have also joined him if he was as brave as Chen Luo. Chen Fei also sarcastically said to Chen Luo not to forget him if he earns money from that. To which Chen Luo responds with an okay, stating that of course if he earns the 5 billion, then he would definitely gift Chen Fei a super sports car. Hearing this, Chen Fei goes and hugs Chen Luo, sharing that he would remember Chen Luo's words. Chen Fei also tells Chen Luo not to go back on the words of giving him a sports car, and that dinner was ready, so they should talk while eating a bit. Chen Luo feels frustrated while hugging Chen Fei, but on the contrary, he is ready to eat with full power. At 9:15 a.m., he is eating food like a beast, indicating that he never had that type of food before. Both Chen Jianan and Chen Fei are confused about what happened to Chen Luo, but suddenly, to their surprise, they hear an anonymous type sound from outside of their room. Chen Jianan asks what kind of sound it could be, as it seemed to have come from the maid's room. He asks Chen Fei to go and take a look at it. Chen Fei agrees and goes to check, while on the other hand, Chen Luo gets serious because he knows that it is none other than the indication of the arrival of the apocalypse. Chen Luo also stands up and tells his uncle Chen Jianan that he would also go and take a look, just in case the maid was injured, so he could help Chen Fei send her to the hospital. But deep down, Chen Luo is happy, because he is thinking that it looks like his uncle Chen Jianan and Chen Fei would die a painful death. Here, when Chen Fei opens the room, he is shocked to see a zombie in the maid's room, and the maid is already dead. The room is full of blood. He gets startled and falls to the ground, but soon, seeing that the zombie is approaching towards him, he forcefully tries to close the door. But the twist comes here, or it could be said that Chen Fei's nightmare comes true, as Chen Luo stops Chen Fei from closing the door, saying that they came to check what's going on and to interpret the situation, so why was Chen Fei closing the door? Chen Fei, confused and stunned, surprisingly asks Chen Luo what he was doing and why he was not letting him close the door. But before he could complete his sentence, Chen Luo attacks Chen Fei with the electrifying baton, stunning him and causing him to fall to the ground. Chen Luo laughs and says that he wouldn't let both of them die so easily. Actually, he made that comment to Chen Fei because he wants Chen Fei to be wiped out by the zombies, experiencing a painful death. With that intention, he opens the door and lets the zombie come outside, attacking Chen Fei. Chen Jianan saw Chen Luo doing all that, and so Chen Jianan was furiously coming towards Chen Luo, asking what he had done and vowing that Chen Luo had to die by his hands. But as it happens with every lead role, Chen Luo was ready with his baton to attack. Chen Luo happily asks Chen Jianan to come forward, and the moment Chen Jianan advances, Chen Luo attacks Chen Jianan with the baton. Seeing this, Chen Jianan tries to block the attack with his hands, to which Chen Luo laughs and asks if Chen Jianan really thought he had resistance to lightning, which is why he was blocking with his hands. Che. After being attacked with an electric baton, Chen Jianan falls unconscious. Chen Luo then approaches Chen Fei and laughs at him, making a comment that he knows it hurts too much, as he could feel it just by looking at Chen Fei. Chen Fei is in excruciating pain as the zombie is eating him, causing him to howl in agony. Chen Fei shouts for help from Chen Luo and his father, but Chen Luo tells him to be quiet and not scream, stating that he doesn't have a worthless son like Chen Fei. Despite the pain, Chen Fei manages to drag himself towards Chen Luo to apologize by touching his feet, hoping that Chen Luo will help him afterward. Chen Luo, being cold-hearted due to past life incidents, sternly tells Chen Fei not to come towards him as his father lies on the ground. Despite Chen Fei's attempts to shout and curse at Chen Luo with some choice words, he is interrupted by another wave of pain, indicating his deteriorating health. Witnessing Chen Fei's worsening condition, Chen Luo's demeanor softens slightly, and he Jianans to Chen Fei that he can't bear to watch the thrilling scene alone and needs a partner. With that comment, Chen Luo touches the baton to Chen Jianan again, causing him to regain consciousness from the shock. As Chen Jianan regains his senses and sees Chen Fei's condition, he becomes tense and approaches Chen Luo, touching his feet and pleading for help to save Chen Fei, as Chen Fei is Chen Luo's cousin. However, Chen Luo remains unresponsive. With no other option, Chen Jianan starts admitting that he was the one who secretly cheated on his shares, but neither Chen Luo nor Chen Fei knew anything about it. Chen Fei was an innocent person. Chen Luo then asks Chen Jianan if he didn't think he should apologize more to him. Hearing this, Chen Jianan is stunned and wonders why Chen Luo is saying that. He wonders if Chen Luo knows about the matter too. However, Chen Jianan still refuses to apologize for killing Chen Luo's parents. Chen Luo then asks Chen Jianan if he had thought about his answer, as Chen Fei didn't have much time left and couldn't hold on much longer. In response, Chen Jianan furiously demands that Chen Luo save Chen Fei immediately and promises not to call the police if Chen Luo does so. Chen Jianan warned Chen Luo that if he calls the police, Chen Luo's future would be in danger and it could also be doomed. In response, Chen Luo said that he had already given Chen Jianan a chance, but now he wouldn't give him another. Hearing this, Chen Jianan became furious and started shouting, calling Chen Luo an ungrateful bastard who wants to betray his own cousin and uncle, stating that Chen Luo was even worse than a dog. Off which Chen Luo feels frustrated and responds to Chen Jianan that he is the one who is ungrateful. Chen Luo slaps Chen Jianan and tells him that his father saw Chen Jianan fail and never succeeded anything, yet still introduced Chen Jianan to the Chen Luo organization. But what did Chen Jianan do in return? Chen Jianan plotted against his parents. Chen Luo couldn't comprehend how Chen Jianan could utter such shameless words. Until Chen Fei died, Chen Jianan got sad and angry. He responded to Chen Luo that he was Chen Luo's father's brother, and he even contributed to the company. Yet, in response, what did he get? Chen Jianan furiously asks if Chen Luo's father saw him as a beggar for only giving him 10% equity in the company. He questions if that's why he deserved to die. Chen Jianan even scolds Chen Luo, saying that he cannot escape with the current technology of the police. Chen Luo, hearing all that, gets pissed off and points out that during those times shares also had value, as 10% share was worth 1.5 billion. He asks if a worker would be able to earn 1.5 billion worth of shares. Chen Luo, realizing Chen Jianan's evil heart, throws him towards the zombies. Deep down, he feels a sense of satisfaction, knowing that his father was too kind-hearted for helping someone like Chen Jianan, and it was the only thing he could do for them. Chen Luo even sheds tears as he thinks about his parents. After some time, a zombie also comes to attack Chen Luo. Seeing this, he realizes that, as he expected, after becoming a zombie, it was no longer possible to have other emotions besides wanting to eat people. So, the moment the zombie comes close to him, he uses the baton to give it an electrifying shock. Chen Luo shares that even though zombies don't experience fear, they can still feel pain, and paralysis and stunning techniques work on them. After stunning the zombie, he takes out the sword and strikes between its head, explaining that killing zombies isn't too hard as they just have to pierce the body part between the eyebrows. Chen Luo was smiling at that point and pondering that even though killing someone was disgusting, piercing that part was amazing because it revealed a hidden treasure known as the core crystal. After collecting the crystal, he stores it in his void and Rechen Jianins that it happened exactly as he thought. At the beginning of the apocalypse, the crystal was of low rank. Chen Luo then wonders that at the start of the zombie outbreak, whether it's an ability user or a zombie, a crystal will be born between the eyebrows. The energy contained inside the core crystal could not only help the awakened speed up their recovery, but also assist the awakener in becoming stronger. In short, it was a valuable treasure for Chen Luo, and he decided to collect as many as possible. Chen Luo shares that the crystal's size and color would change according to the target's ability and combat prowess. For example, the crystal of a fire-type ability user or zombie would be red in color, while that of a wind-type ability user or zombie would be green. Lastly, he mentions that the crystal of a space-type ability user or zombie would be transparent in color. Chen Luo then recalls the time when he obtained the lightning core crystal from the Lightning King's head, noting that it was a dark purple crystal about the size of an egg. Upon getting out of the house, Chen Luo encounters a zombie. Seeing it, he laughs, Rechen Jianning that the zombie was very lively. This implies that the zombie was someone who had definitely tried to help his uncle very much. The zombie attacks Chen Luo, who then takes out his baton and uses it on the zombie, making a sarcastic comment to come, as his uncle would give him a good treat. The zombie gets stunned by the baton, and then while taking the crystal, Chen Luo again sarcastically asks if taking a reward for helping the zombie, as his uncle did, wasn't too much. Chen Luo was taking everything lightly and in a fun way. On the other hand, the Dharma King was shocked to see Chen Luo wiping out the zombies so harshly and wondered why Chen Luo was so cruel. Chen Luo approached the car and told Dharma that he felt they would awaken soon, so it wasn't safe for them to stay outside. He also informed Dharma that he needed to come with him to his house for a while, and after awakening, he could leave. Inside the house, there were many zombie dead bodies killed by Chen Luo. Seeing this, Dharma started panicking and barking. Chen Luo asked him not to panic, assuring him that he would get used to it slowly. After that, Chen Luo was silently peeling an apple and eating it, while Dharma was experiencing a strange sensation in his body. Suddenly, Chen Luo noticed that lightning-like rays were emanating from Dharma. Seeing this, Chen Luo panicked a little because he didn't know what type of effect Dharma's awakening ability might have. As Dharma was awakening his lightning ability, Chen Luo got scared and hid behind a sofa, wondering what was going on and whether he would be the first one to get hit by Dharma's lightning strike. But to his surprise, Dharma didn't attack Chen Luo and instead relaxed from his lightning awakening position. Chen Luo then stood up and shared that whether a talent was strong or not mainly depended on two aspects. The first was the earlier the awakening time, and the second was the faster growth of the ability. Chen Luo then got a little sad, realizing that the Lightning King Dharma was probably at the peak of his lightning talents. He felt jealous of Dharma, lamenting that he was worse than a dog. He was feeling a bit downcast by the fact that the dog was more powerful than him. Suddenly, out of nowhere, apples fell to the ground. At first he acted a little scared, but soon he smiled weirdly, saying that it seemed he was quite talented like the others as well. Chen Luo then stood up again, and this time he looked very serious. He raised something like a ball in his hand and, out of nowhere, he attacked the wall with it. The wall got a hole in it, and seeing this, Dharma was stunned and couldn't believe it. But Chen Luo wasn't happy, as he thought it was very bad that his void ball attack took 25% of his ability power. Additionally, his attack couldn't even instantly wipe out the lowest rank zombie. He decided that his first step would be to absorb a core crystal and quickly level up. In his past life, Lightning King Dharma and Ling Yangji were both of king rank. He also shared that in his past life, his body was also of king rank. But after he absorbed Lightning King's core crystal, he leveled up to another rank. Also, during that time, he didn't know the use of it because with no food, no drinks, and no one to accompany him, life was meaningless. So it was better to die. So, like that, he thought a lot, and the scene then shifted to 5 minutes later, where Chen Luo was still pondering. This time, he was thinking that according to the progress, if he absorbed around 20 core crystals, he would become a rank 2 ability user. Chen Luo then yawned and told Dharma that he had to use his ability somehow. So, Chen Luo commanded him to try to condense the power in the body to the throat and accumulate it, then spray it in the direction he looked. Following the command, Dharma did the same, and the lightning strike that came from his mouth was massive. Seeing this, Chen Luo felt happy and patted Dharma's head, calling him a smart and good dog. Chen Luo then asked Dharma to accompany him to the cold storage first, as the first thing was to store the goods they had stocked. Dharma happily agreed to go with Chen Luo. After that, Chen Luo went to the Super Chen Jiananet, and standing in front of it, he happily asked Dharma to look at the size of the Super Chen Jiananet, as it was so big. indicating there would be many resources inside. He then sarcastically said that everyone says no one should leave empty-handed, implying there would be many good things inside, and they couldn't let zombies take them instead. Chenluo asked Dharma what if they fought the zombies and took all the things, of which Dharma responds with an okay and happily asks to go and begin it. Chenluo takes out his armor and weapon, then tells Dharma to attack if he could, and not fight head-on, but use his agile body to dodge the attacks. Dharma responds that he understood, so they started fighting together and were easily defeating them, but suddenly when Dharma struck a girl with his lightning power, he got stunned to see that there wasn't any scratch on her body. Dharma was wondering what was wrong with her, but Chenluo comforted him by saying not to take tension, just to lure them away. Dharma understood and started fighting with them to lure them away from the Super Chenjiananet. Seeing Dharma easily defeating them, Chenluo asks Dharma to be careful as he was going inside the Super Chenjiananet and would come back soon. Inside the Super Chenjiananet, seeing the high-quality things and materials, Chenluo got happy as he was right that the Super Chenjiananet in front of the villa would have such quality products. Chenluo then opens his void and starts absorbing everything of use inside it, laughing and shouting that it was all his now. Slowly, Chenluo absorbed everything, even taking out the crystals from the zombies' heads. While doing all the work and absorbing the foods and crystals, he came out yawning happily, as the ability space was big and it was great when everything was free. He then told Dharma that it was time for them to leave, but when he looked up, he saw that Dharma was running from a zombie for his life. So Chenluo went and saved Dharma very easily by defeating that monster. After which Dharma was sobbing, wondering why his master could kill zombies so easily while he couldn't. So Chenluo patted his head and asked Dharma not to be upset, reassuring him that he was already very good. He just had to work hard, and after some time, he would be the best and coolest dog. Hearing all that, Dharma got happy and was smiling as if he had received something big. Chenluo then asked Dharma to, let's go to the cold storage. As they were going towards the cold storage, someone in the way asked them to stop from behind. It was a random person who saw Chenluo alive, so he asked Chenluo to wait for a moment to talk. The boy asked Chenluo if he knew what was happening because he called the police, but no one was answering. Chenluo very calmly responded that it was obvious that it was an apocalypse and a zombie outbreak. Hearing this, the boy got scared, pondering the situation. But soon, he happily asked Chenluo to be companions with each other, suggesting they could take care of each other in the apocalypse. Chenluo directly denied the offer, saying that he didn't need it and moved forward. The boy kept shouting for Chenluo to wait, but Chenluo didn't stop again. After going from there, Chenluo was wondering that he planned to accept some underlings, but only elite ones. So, he didn't blame him for being so cold-blooded, as even if he had many resources, they were not infinite, and he needed to be cautious. Suddenly, in the way, he saw something and stopped the car. Actually, there were so many zombies blocking the road. Chenluo wondered that he remembered they could only reach the cold storage by that specific road, but it was blocked by the zombies. Hence, it seemed like he had to kill them all. Chenluo then got out of the car and told Dharma to go and stroll around while being protective. They started fighting the zombies, and Chenluo was using electric batons to kill them one by one. Some zombies even tried to sneak attack him, but Chenluo was smart, so he outplayed those zombies. Also, one zombie bites off his biceps, but surprisingly, Chenluo just throws the zombie with his hands and shares that his armor was made of alloy, so how could low-level zombies like them break it? He then sarcastically made a comment that there was no dentist in the city to fill up their teeth, and if they lose their teeth, in the future they could only rely on their tongue to lick. But suddenly, he laughs, telling them to wait, as there was no future for them. Suddenly, to Chenluo's shock, his electric baton got discharged and stopped producing electricity. At that moment, Chenluo was stunned and tense, unsure what to do next. The zombies came and started snatching the baton from Chenluo, so Chenluo tensely gave them the baton, saying they could take it if they wanted. Surprisingly, he was just trying to buy some time. The reason he needed time was that he had to take out a new baton from his void. So after taking out a new baton, he started wiping out zombies. After defeating them all, he collected all the crystals from inside them. The scene then shifted to some time later, where Dharma also came and stood beside Chenluo, looking at him confusingly, wondering why they weren't going to the cold storage, why they were holding and waiting, and where they were. Chenluo then asks Dharma to come and shows him a truck, sharing that the heavy truck was more amazing than alloy armor and an electric baton, as he had kept the truck there for the day of the apocalypse. Hearing this, Dharma got impressed and looked happily towards Chenluo. Chenluo asks Dharma to get up on the truck as he would drive it. He then moves forward, and a closed door was coming. Seeing this, Chenluo asks Dharma to look at what he was going to do. With a truck like that, there wasn't any need for them to get outside and open the door. so he easily broke the door with the truck. Seeing this, Dharma was stunned, whereas Chen Luo was feeling amazing, as it looked like a heroic stunt to him. Upon going further, they met with hundreds of zombies, and there Chen Luo shared that he already knew that those hundreds of zombies would take a long time to kill with the electric baton, also wasting his electricity. Chen Luo then, without wasting time, hit zombies with the truck and slashed them away. Being in an act like that, Dharma was shocked and sobbing, thinking his master was so cruel. On the other hand, there were two boys named Fang and Leng, and one girl named Mia on the second floor of that cold storage. Seeing Chen Luo from above, they were impressed. Leng said that he thinks Chen Luo's truck was much stronger than other vehicles in their cold storage. Mia suggested to Fang and Leng that they should ask Chen Luo to take them out from the cold storage. Fang asks that Chen Luo was unaccompanied, so why would he take the risk for them? Was he their father? Fang also said that he thinks Chen Luo was a ruthless person. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do what he just did, and Chen Luo probably knows that their cold storage had resources. So Chen Luo came to take the resources, and once he got those resources, he would leave and wouldn't care about them. Fang then suggested that instead of asking for help, they should try to help themselves, and they could snatch Chen Luo's truck, as it was the most reliable means of transportation, with the truck in their own hands. Leng asks them to look that Chen Luo seems to be wearing armor. Fang again said that they just need to snatch the truck, and they would be safe. So what did they think about it? Leng also furiously agrees with Fang, as Chen Luo came to steal resources from the cold storage, which was unforgivable. So, after some seconds, when Chen Luo was extracting the crystals from zombies, Mia came close to him and thanked him for saving them by killing the zombies. Hearing this, Chen Luo started wondering why they were thanking him, as it seemed like they would ask him to bring them out of the cold storage safely. Chen Luo then asks Mia whether they were the only survivors there. Mia responds with a yes, as only the three of them survived. While Mia was keeping Chen Luo busy by talking with him, both Fang and Leng came from behind and put their hands on Chen Luo's shoulder, by which Chen Luo understood that they were going to try to snatch his things, so he wondered whether it was real that a few moments ago they were trying to thank him, but now they were going to snatch his items. Fang asks Chen Luo not to fight back and not to worry, as they weren't going to harm him. By their act, Chen Luo got furious and wondered that during the harsh environment, it would really magnify the ugliness of human nature infinitely, and kindness was the least valuable and most harmful thing during the apocalypse. Suddenly, to the surprise of Fang and the others, a dog came towards them barking. Seeing this, Fang asks where the dog came from. Leng responds that he thinks the dog wasn't infected yet. While they were distracted by the appearance of Dharma, Chen Luo got the time to open his void, as now he didn't have to worry about exposing his void ability in front of them. So, sneakily, he took out the baton and attacked them with it. Lastly, he said that they didn't have to worry because dead people didn't speak at all. After he killed both boys, Mia got scared and started asking Chen Luo not to kill her. Chen Luo wondered why he wouldn't kill her just because she was a girl. Mia started running, shouting for help. Seeing this, Chen Luo said that she looked like she ran very fast, so he told Dharma that she was his target. Dharma then wasted no time and attacked Mia from the backside. Mia fell to the ground and Chen Luo approached her, stunning her with the baton. He said that it was the reason why everyone says that the one who strikes first has the advantage. After killing them, he asks Dharma to get ready for storing everything. So they got seasoning, seafood, chicken, duck, various types of meat, pig trotter offal, instant vegetables, fruits, and what was even more surprising was that everything was in amounts of more than 9999 tons. Lastly, Chen Luo shared with Dharma that they got 60,000 tons of resources from the cold storage. While going back, Chen Luo told Dharma that they were going home for some rest, and then they would go to the grain storage to loot more. Chen Luo then wondered how Sudaju was doing. Suddenly, Chen Luo saw a boy in front of his truck asking for help and offering him a ride. But Chen Luo noticed that the boy was hiding many things underneath his shirt, and it probably wasn't a good idea to give him a ride. Actually, Chen Luo was taking precautions because his law of survival didn't allow him to let any threat arise, even if the threat was small. Seeing Chen Luo not stopping, the boy continuously asked him to stop, but Chen Luo had already decided that if the boy didn't get aside, he would drive over him. Seeing the truck coming, the boy got scared and moved aside, then started shouting furiously that Chen Luo dared to hit him, and now Chen Luo would regret it because whenever he got the chance, he would definitely retaliate against him. Hearing this, Chen Luo got angry and wondered that in the past, holding a grudge might lead to saying something bad behind someone's back or trying some scheme. But now, in the apocalypse, after awakening with abilities, everyone had the chance to kill people. So Chen Luo asks Dharma, the Lightning King, if he heard that the boy said he wants to eat dog meat. Hearing this, Dharma said that even though he didn't understand human language, he believed that the boy didn't say dog meat. As Chen Luo stopped, the boy went towards him furiously, intending to retaliate, but suddenly he got shocked to see a dog coming towards him. The boy saw that the dog was going to attack, so he tried to attack back with a rod. But Dharma was on the other side, thinking that he didn't care if the boy wanted to eat dog meat or not. If Master said that he wants that boy dead, then the boy must need to die. So, without wasting time, Dharma used a lightning strike on the boy, and the boy became unconscious. Hearing this, Chen Luo asked Dharma to ensure that the boy was dead, so not just to use lightning. Dharma looked confusingly towards Chen Luo. So, Chen Luo responded and made Dharma understand that in battle, if he showed any hesitation, he would die. Only if he adapted to the apocalypse, then he would safely survive. Hearing this, Dharma angrily bit the boy. Seeing this, Chen Luo happily responded that it was what he was talking about. Chen Luo praises Dharma for defeating that boy alone and easily. After that, Chen Luo asks Dharma to go back home. Upon reaching the villa, Chen Luo tells Dharma that the road to the villa is too narrow, so it won't be easy to park the heavy truck. So Chen Luo asks Dharma to get out of the truck to help him lure the zombies away. He also tells Dharma that he will stop the truck by the side of the road. Dharma agrees and gets out of the truck to lure the zombies in the opposite direction of the truck. Seeing this, Chen Luo was very happy because he thought that as Lightning King Dharma lures the zombies away, they would eventually come back. During that time, the zombies would act as free car-watching laborers, preventing other survivors from approaching or damaging his truck. He also takes a sigh of relief, thinking that luckily his rebirth didn't have a butterfly effect and that Sudhaju didn't become a zombie. He should be safe. Suddenly, a zombie tries to attack Chen Luo, so he uses an electric baton to defeat it. While Chen Luo was fighting, Sudhaju arrived at the villa with a girl. Seeing Chen Luo fight like that, Sudhaju praised him. The girl Rechenjianand that the electric baton was so strong that Chen Luo wouldn't be scared even if he encountered a zombie, explaining why Chen Luo was so brave. After the fight ended, Sudhaju shouted and told Chen Luo about his place. Seeing Sudhaju alive, Chen Luo was happy as it was what he expected. However, he was also surprised to see the girl, and he identified her as Chen Luo Jing. Both Chen Luo Jing and Sudhaju started discussing something with Chen Luo. Chen Luo asked them not to talk about it openly and to move quickly, as it would be troublesome if they encountered zombies. Hearing this, Chen Luo Jing didn't look very happy and made a weird face. Even while making a weird face, Chen Luo Jing responded with a yes. However, deep down, she was thinking that she needed to increase her affection for Chen Luo. With both Sudhaju and Chen Luo protecting her, she could stay safe and wait for rescue from the country. So let's see what actually happens from Chen Luo's side. Just when Chen Luo entered the villa and started fighting zombies, he was wondering about Sudhaju. Chen Luo wonders if Sudhaju fled to the interior of the villa area during the zombie outbreak, or if Sudhaju climbed over the wall and hid in a villa. He then feels very frustrated that he couldn't recall which villa Sudhaju might have hidden in, as he only remembers the surrounding area. Chen Luo then decided not to think too much and use that trick. Suddenly he started shouting Sudhaju's name, asking if Sudhaju could hear him and if so, where he was. Seeing Chen Luo like that, Dharma got stunned and wondered what his master was doing, as it would lure zombies out. On the other side, Sudhaju was hiding in the villa, and upon hearing the voice, he realized it was none other than Chen Luo. Chen Luo Jing asked Sudhaju not to go, as Chen Luo was acting crazy and not afraid of luring out zombies. She believed Chen Luo not only wanted to die, but also wanted them to get killed. Hearing this, Sudhaju also wondered. With brother Chen Luo's smart brain, did Chen Luo not know that it's dangerous to shout? And why was Chen Luo using that method to find him? Chen Luo again shouted Sudhaju's name and asked about his whereabouts. Sudhaju had no choice but to get out and meet with Chen Luo. Upon hearing this, Chen Luo Jing said she would also come with him and pleaded with Sudhaju not to leave her alone. The moment they got outside, they saw Chen Luo fighting with zombies. Chen Luo Jing again tried to provoke Sudhaju. Then came the moment when Sudhaju praised Chen Luo, and Chen Luo Jing was shocked to see Chen Luo like that. So, actually, what Chen Luo really thought after seeing Chen Luo Jing was how could he forget about this girl? As in his previous life, she was a burden and almost got them killed. Chen Luo also shared that Chen Luo Jing was very scheming. He remembered from his previous life that the water wasn't pure and she was scared of drinking tap water. So she always used Sudhaju as an experiment by offering him the water first. Even after when Chen Luo got partnered with Sudhaju, Chen Luo Jing tried to show affection to both of them in various ways. First, she went to Sudhaju and told him that she felt very safe beside him, unlike brother Chen Luo. Then, when she went to Chen Luo, she said that she felt Chen Luo was very sincere since she first saw him, unlike brother Sudhaju. Chen Luo also shared that during the time of distributing food, Chen Luo Jing always hid a portion first, then acted hungry and pitiful, tricking Sudhaju into giving his share to her, treating Sudhaju like a clown. Lastly, Chen Luo thought that if Chen Luojing still dared to be so shameless again in this present life, then she wasn't someone to blame him for using her to let Sudhaju understand that people's hearts are sinister. Chen Luo then offers Sudhaju to come to his house so they both could take care of each other, to which Sudhaju thanks Chen Luo. Chen Luojing interrupts them and introduces herself to Chen Luo. She even tries to create a connection with Chen Luo by mentioning they have the same surname, suggesting they might have been from the same family 500 years ago. Surprisingly, while Chen Luojing was talking with Chen Luo, she got attacked by Dharma. Dharma jumped and tore out her bag, causing many resources to spill out from inside. Even Chen Luo got stunned to see so many things, and wondered why Chen Luojing was protecting her bag so fiercely. He thought that perhaps she had snacks hidden in it, and was planning to enjoy them after they left. Chen Luo then decided not to care about her and opened a can of cold drink to drink. He told Chen Luojing that he was hungry, so he was taking it. Chen Luo even gave Sudhaju some snacks, telling him that he must be hungry too. After eating, they could go to get some resources. Seeing this, Sudhaju got furious and wondered. He had risked his life to save her last time, then successfully saved her. But what about her? She had food all the time, yet she still dared to lie to him, saying that she didn't have any. Sudhaju realized that she planned not to share with them, so he decided to not care about her anymore. Chen Luojing got tense seeing them eating, and with a tear in her eyes, she approached Sudhaju, asking that he couldn't be allowed to eat as it was her food. So Sudhaju put it down and gave it back, but Chen Luo used his leg to make her fall down on the ground. After falling down, she howled in pain and shouted that bullying a poor girl, were they guys still considered as men? Hearing this, Chen Luo smiled and wondered aloud, let this girl go and ask the zombies whether they care if someone is a guy or a girl. But he also thought that exposing this much wasn't enough to make Sudhaju understand human nature, so he needed to make her expose more. Chen Luo smiled and asked Chen Luojing why she needed to cry, as they would only have energy to find food after they ate, right? So, this time she didn't have to come with them, as they had eaten her food. And when they come back, they will give her double the amount of food they had taken. Hearing this, Chen Luojing thought that no matter what, she couldn't make Chen Luo and Sudhaju her enemies, so she had to accept it. Afterward, Chen Luojing apologized, saying it was her fault as she had just reacted instinctively. When she was younger, she had starved a lot, and she didn't really mean to do whatever she just did. Hearing her story, Chen Luo got frustrated as Chen Luojing was really good at making up stories. Chen Luo then asked Sudhaju to go to the Super Chen Jiananit together, as he would go first and make some preparations. Sudhaju agreed with Chen Luo, sharing that he would listen to him. So Chen Luo goes to Dharma and asks him to go outside and lure some zombies into their house. Hearing this, Dharma got shocked and wondered whether his master was joking, as he could understand luring the zombies. But luring them into their house was so confusing. Seeing Dharma's reaction, Chen Luo understood his confusion, so he told Dharma not to worry too much as he would understand when he comes back. After that, Chen Luo took out some garlic from the void and chuckled, knowing that the show was about to start. Chen Luo then went towards Sudhaju and Chen Luojing with the garlic juice. He asked them if they had rested well, and now they should check out this garlic juice. Chen Luojing got tensed from the smell of the garlic juice. Even Sudhaju confusingly asked Chen Luo why he made so much garlic juice. Chen Luo responded that they didn't know, but when he came back from outside, he saw someone imitating a scene from a movie where the person hung a string of garlic from his body. Chen Luo also mentioned that he even saw with his own eyes that the zombies were so scared that they kept backing away. Chen Luo felt happy that they believed his story, but deep down, he thought it was a pity, because they both didn't know there's a difference between movies and reality, as the smell of garlic would actually lure zombies even more. After that, Chen Luo sadly shared with them that it was a pity his house had so much garlic, which was only enough for 2 people. So he asked Sudhaju to let's go to the Super Chen Jiananit and try to find some more garlic there. Suddenly, all of them heard some weird sounds, which made Chen Luo smile. He asked them if they also heard it, as it seemed like a group of zombies were coming close to them. Chen Luojing got scared upon hearing it. Now, Chen Luo was wondering about Chen Luojing and waiting to see if Chen Luojing was going to choose to resist with them or snatch that life-saving garlic juice. Chen Luojing heard some more sounds and tensely asked if it was the sound of the iron door being destroyed. Chen Luo quickly asked Sudhaju to use the bowl of garlic juice. Surprisingly, Sudhaju hesitated to use the garlic juice because he was thinking that even though he hated Chen Luojing, she hadn't done something guilty enough to die. With so many zombies around, if he used that bowl of garlic juice, wouldn't she die? Here, Sudhaju was thinking of giving it to Chen Luojing, whereas on the other hand, Chen Luojing was looking at the bowl of garlic juice, thinking that there was only one bowl of garlic juice, which meant only one person could survive. Here, Sudhaju was going to take the bowl and give it to her, but seeing him coming close to the bowl of garlic juice, without thinking twice, she snatched the bowl from the table and poured it all over herself, deciding that she should be the one to survive. Seeing her do that, Sudhaju got pissed off as he had even thought of giving it to her, but from now on, he wouldn't think about her. Chenluo came there and asked Sudhaju if he saw that or not, so it's better not to treat people well in the apocalypse because some people were not fit to be humans. Hearing this, Chenluo Jing understood Chenluo's motive and asked if Chenluo tried to set her up. Chenluo smiled and asked her if he set her up. Didn't she make that decision herself? Or did he force her to pour the garlic over herself? Chenluo then laughed and told Chenluo Jing that zombies were very sensitive to the smell of garlic, so she was now dead for sure. Hearing this, Chenluo Jing got tense and started shouting, asking Chenluo if he lied to her about the juice and whether there was something wrong with her just wanting to live. Chenluo responds that it wasn't wrong to want to live, but she was wrong to use people's kindness and bully him, especially when it came to Sudhaju. He also asks her that just as she said they also want to live, so sacrificing her for that, whether it was wrong. After that, Chenluo started taking out armor and weapons from his void, thinking that Chenluo Jing would be dead soon, and dead people wouldn't reveal secrets, especially talking about Sudhaju, so he would tell Sudhaju himself that the ability he awakened was void. Seeing Chenluo taking out the armor, Chenluo Jing got stunned and asked about it. She realized that Chenluo had prepared it a long time ago, which was the reason why he didn't pour the garlic on himself. Chenluo then told Sudhaju to go and find a room to hide, as he would only be a burden to him. Sudhaju responded with an okay and left to hide. Even Chenluo Jing came close to Chenluo and, in a romantic gesture, she asked Chenluo to let her off this time, promising that in the future, he could do anything he wanted with her. Now that Chenluo Jing had no choice left, she was trying to seduce Chenluo using her charm and body. To her surprise, Chenluo was like stone-hearted and told Chenluo Jing that he only wanted her to go and die, as once she was dead, he would let her off. Chenluo Jing got furious and called Chenluo a bastard, saying that she didn't offend him, so why had he made things difficult for her since they met? Suddenly, she was attacked by the zombies, and while dying, Chenluo Jing shouted that Chenluo would die a miserable death. The scene then shifted to some time later, where Chenluo had defeated all the zombies. There, he admitted it was a miscalculation on his part, as he had lived in that house for more than 10 years. But today was exceptionally lucky. Sudhaju came there and seeing Chenluo Jing dead and about to say something. But Chenluo told Sudhaju to stop, as they didn't have time for expressing emotions, since there was no way they could stay in such a messy house. Chenluo asks Sudhaju to help him quickly move all the corpses outside. After half an hour, they successfully remove all the corpses outside. Now he had a problem. There was a bloodstain which he had to clean. He realized that if he had a maid, it would be easy for him to wipe those bloodstains. Chenluo then recalled Mayu, as she wasn't that bad, looked good, and worked hard, so he wondered if Mayu was still alive. While Chenluo was thinking about Mayu, Sudhaju interrupts him and asks him to go to the Super Chenjiananet. Chenluo smiles and tells Sudhaju not to worry because he has better food with him, and suggests going upstairs to enjoy the meal. When Chenluo takes out the food and drinks, Sudhaju is shocked that the food seemingly came out of thin air. Sudhaju asks Chenluo about it in shock. Chenluo, in response, asks Sudhaju if he felt any changes in his body. Sudhaju explains that his head was hurting in the afternoon, but now he feels much stronger. Chenluo shares that this type of change often occurs before an apocalypse, and he has experienced it himself. Chenluo also informs Sudhaju that everyone experiences different types of changes. Since Sudhaju's change is related to strength, Chenluo speculates that he himself might have a change related to the void. Chenluo shares with Sudhaju that he suddenly realized he could grasp some void power, and he feels that there might be a disaster happening soon, so he has stored some resources. Sudhaju responds with understanding, indicating that he got the message. Chenluo feels relieved, thinking that this explanation is much better than something as crazy as reincarnation, which Sudhaju could easily accept. He then tells Sudhaju that he has a feeling they are going to become brothers, so Sudhaju shouldn't hesitate, and they should start eating. Sudhaju mentions that there is too much food, and they couldn't finish it all, suggesting they save some as just 2 or 3 dishes were enough. Chenluo responds that it's fine because even after they finish eating, Dharma, the Lightning King, hasn't eaten yet. Hearing this, Dharma asks not to mention it as leftovers, recalling his days as a stray dog when even getting some swill to eat was considered lucky. He thanks Chenluo but sadly asks if cleaning bloodstains was now a dog's task. In reality, Chenluo had asked Dharma to clean the bloodstains. After eating, Chenluo tried to create a void sword, but it disappeared just 5 seconds after being generated. While lying on the bed, he laughs, thinking about how he observed 42 core crystals, which wasn't a joke, and he even managed to create a void sword. Chenluo shared that in his past life, he could only grasp the void sword when he was at level 7, and according to his current progress, in his past life, he only grasped the void passage at rank 9, so he might be able to use it when he reaches rank 4 now. He also wonders if the elemental blade he used when he was at the king rank could be accessed earlier in his present life, which feels great just by thinking about it. In the next morning, Sudhaju happily tells Chen Luo that whatever Chen Luo said really worked, as he feels much stronger after absorbing 7 core crystals. Even Dharma barks 9 times in front of them. Seeing this, Chen Luo smiles and asks if Sudhaju really ate 9, Richin Jiananing that it wasn't that bad. He even makes a sarcastic comment that luckily it wasn't 99. Otherwise, Dharma would be shouting for a long time. On the other hand, Sudhaju is shocked that a dog absorbed more crystals than him. Chen Luo then opens his void and takes out an armor to give to Sudhaju, asking him not to look down on Dharma as he is very talented. He suggests trying on the armor after eating breakfast, because afterward, they have to go to the grain storage. Sudhaju responds with an okay. The scene then shifts to sometime later when they head towards the truck. Seeing the zombies walking around the truck, Chen Luo gets happy, as zombies are really free laborers who help him guard the truck. Sudhaju, seeing the zombies, asks Chen Luo about wiping them out, but Chen Luo stops him, saying that those zombies are free laborers, so Lightning King Dharma will lure them away. Just as Chen Luo speaks, Dharma starts luring away the zombies, to which Sudhaju asks why he feels like the dog has more use than him. Chen Luo responds by asking Sudhaju not to compare himself with a dog, as there are things that a dog can do that he can't, and vice versa. He reassures Sudhaju that they all have their own usefulness. Hearing this, Sudhaju surprisingly asks Chen Luo if there really was some work that a dog can do, but he can't. Chen Luo responds with a yes and asks if Sudhaju dares to eat feces, just like a dog would. Chen Luo says it as a joke, but hearing it, Dharma gets stunned and furiously turns away, shouting that it's slander as he didn't eat anything like that. The scene then shifts to the grain storage, where Chen Luo is slashing away the zombies by hitting them with the truck. Seeing this, Sudhaju praises Chen Luo for taking the truck. Chen Luo shares that he feels strange because there were quite a few staff members in the grain storage. They shouldn't all be dead. Also, the sound outside was so loud, so why did no one call for help? Sudhaju also suggests that it's a big place, so there might be an underground basement, and people could be hiding there, which is why they didn't hear anything. Hearing this, Chen Luo finds it knowledgeable. He stops in front of a passage and shares his thought that it might be the passage leading to the basement. Chen Luo asks Sudhaju to go together and check it out. Upon moving further, they find a skull of someone. Seeing this, Chen Luo is stunned because while normal zombies gnaw on humans, they wouldn't eat everything until only one bone is left. Chen Luo wonders if some zombies got mutated inside and tells Sudhaju that he wonders whether it was an ant or a rat. Chen Luo thought that both were gregarious, so they should be in such large numbers. Due to this, he couldn't take the risk as life was important. Suddenly they hear some sounds, and when Chen Luo looks carefully, he is shocked to see a whole group of rats. Chen Luo asks everyone to run as fast as they could. The horde of rats is rapidly approaching Chen Luo and the others directly. When Chen Luo and Sudhaju are trying to run, Dharma is trying to stop the horde of rats. Seeing this, Chen Luo asks Dharma to take care of his own safety, so Dharma also runs with them. Surprisingly, a slightly mutated rat appears, and upon seeing the humans, it becomes excited, considering them delicious food. It jumps towards Chen Luo for an attack, expressing its desire to see how they could escape. Due to the sudden attack, Chen Luo falls to the ground. Seeing this, Sudhaju helps him up and expresses his belief that they are now doomed. Chen Luo, realizing the severity of the situation, asks Sudhaju not to hesitate and to attack the rats. Somehow, they were able to fight off the smaller rats together, with the help of electricity wiping out the rats. However, Chen Luo was tensed about the Rat King, as it was clearly a mutant. Surprisingly, the Rat King was also smiling as it watched them. Chen Luo shared that whether survivors, zombies, or creatures, all combat abilities will grow slowly, but there will always be individual mutants who will overdraw their life potential and make their strength skyrocket. Chen Luo then wonders that even though they grow stronger, their longevity decreases. He even shouts at his destiny, feeling unlucky to encounter one so early. While fighting with the small rats, Sudhaju falls to the ground. Seeing Sudhaju fall, the Rat King thinks it's the best time to attack. Sudhaju tries to use a baton, but the Rat King throws it away, deeming it useless. Then the Rat King starts a continuous attack on Sudhaju's armor. As the armor reaches its limit, Sudhaju gets tense, realizing that just one more attack from the Rat King could puncture it. Chen Luo rushes over and shouts for Sudhaju to watch out. He explains that the Rat King is at least level 3 or 4, so he has no choice but to use normal methods as he can't kill it in such a short amount of time. Chen Luo uses some food to distract the rats with it and wonders that if he hadn't broken through to rank 2 last night, all of them would have definitely died in the basement. On the other hand, seeing Chen Luo with the baton, the Rat King wonders if Chen Luo's electric baton would hurt him or not. If it does, then he plans to first bite off Chen Luo, and then bite off Sudhaju. The twist was that the thing the Rat King was understanding as a baton wasn't actually a baton. It was Chen Luo coming with the Void Sword, hoping that the Rat King would be killed by it, as it was his last hope. The moment the Rat King realizes that it's a Void Sword, he gets tensed and wants to run. Seeing this, Chen Luo smiles and asks the Rat King whether he wants to run away, telling him to stop daydreaming. Upon defeating the Rat King, Chen Luo finds a core crystal inside the Rat King, bigger than the others, and feels happy about it. After that, he tells Sudhaju that he thinks the two front fangs of the Rat King are pretty good, so it should be easy to make them into a weapon in the future. Chen Luo admits that he wasn't strong enough, so Sudhaju should try pulling it out. Sudhaju agrees with Chen Luo and asks him to move aside and let him try. After struggling for a while, Sudhaju somehow manages to take out one fang. Chen Luo praises Sudhaju, saying it wasn't bad, and then suggests they go further into the basement. The scene shifts to some time later, where Chen Luo is storing the grains. Seeing this, Sudhaju is amazed and asks how big Chen Luo's void space is. Chen Luo responds that it isn't as big as the grain storage. After storing everything, Chen Luo approaches Sudhaju and tells him that Sudhaju can't tell anyone about the stocked resources. Chen Luo emphasizes once again that no matter what happens, Sudhaju must remember not to tell anyone. Sudhaju assures Chen Luo not to worry, saying he understands and that even if he were beaten to death, he wouldn't reveal the secret. Suddenly, the lights go out in their surroundings. Sudhaju asks why it suddenly became darker. Chen Luo responds that it should be a blackout, and they should quickly finish what they came there for and go back. The scene shifts to some time later, when they all reach back at Chen Luo's home. Chen Luo says that the fight against the Rat King was too dangerous, so he thinks they should stay at home and become stronger first. He also shares that judging by the speed he absorbs crystals, it would take 2 or 3 days to reach rank 3. So in these 3 days, if anyone gets bored, they could play games and watch movies. Sudhaju responds that he got it, and he has no problem with it. Chen Luo happily agrees, saying, okay, so now it's decided they should go and eat. The scene then shifts to 3 days later, where Chen Luo tells Dharma that it would be good for him to learn how to wash the bowls. Hearing this, Dharma gets tense, hoping that Chen Luo won't be too harsh on him. Chen Luo then shares that he had been training for 3 days, which was quite tiring, and asks Dharma if he reached level 2 last night. Dharma happily responds with a yes. Chen Luo then shares that there's a saying that if someone wants to get stronger, that person needs to train. So he suggests that Dharma should go and find zombies to check if he could train and use new lightning skills. Dharma got a little bit sad and was slowly going to open the door, but suddenly he got stopped by Chen Luo. Hearing this, Dharma got happy, wondering whether Chen Luo was stopping him because he knows that Chen Luo was worried about him, or if Chen Luo was at least going to tell him to take note of his safety. To his shock, Chen Luo arrives with 2 bags of garbage, asking Dharma to throw them out. Dharma, hearing this, gets furious and says that Chen Luo is really a bastard and doesn't understand him as a dog at all. So Dharma takes the garbage furiously, showing his anger. Seeing this, Chen Luo rechinjianans that it's an immature act, as when Dharma can clean, throw rubbish, and handle all chores, then he would be a matured dog. As of yet, Dharma didn't know how to take initiative to do tasks without Chen Luo ordering him to do so. Even Sudhaju, witnessing the incident, thinks that Dharma is pitiful. After that, Chen Luo thinks that he really needs Mayu now so she could take care of their daily life. He then remembers that Mayu lives in a nearby 5-star hotel staff dormitory. So Chen Luo decides that when he becomes level 3, he will go find Mayu. At night, Chen Luo's mind suddenly gets a shock. Upon waking up, he realizes that it took him half a month to break through in his past life. But in this life, he became a rank 3 ability user in only 3 days. He even thinks that Dharma should be happy that he followed him, so he wouldn't get sneakily attacked by him. Chen Luo also notes that the duration of the Void Sword increased from 5 seconds to 20 seconds. Finally, he can go out now. Chen Luo decides that in the morning, they will go to find Mayu and then bring back the core crystals. The next day, near the hotel staff dormitory, Chen Luo is fighting with zombies while Sudhaju somehow finds the dormitory. Seeing the sound from outside, a person emerges from inside the dormitory and asks Chen Luo and Sudhaju to save him. His name is Liu Wenbo, and he was a waiter in that 5-star hotel. Chen Luo is happy to see Liu, as finally, after killing zombies for half an hour, he sees someone alive. Without wasting time, Chen Luo directly asks Liu if he saw Mayu. The scene shifts to Mayu, who is being beaten by a girl named Lin Lie. The problem arises because Lin wants Mayu to leave the place, but Mayu isn't agreeing, as she also wants to live there. She asserts that she is also a living person who needs space. Lin Lie gets angry over Mayu's refusal, so she pulls Mayu in anger. A man named Lilan, the business tycoon, arrives and interrupts them. He expresses concern that the remaining vegetables may not be enough for all of them to survive. He warns that if Mayu doesn't listen, then they should throw her out. Lin Lear agrees with Lilin, stating that Mayu was disobedient, so they should throw her out. The hotel manager, named Harry, tells Mayu that as she can see, they don't have enough space, so for the sake of everyone, they can only sacrifice her. Harry calmly asks Mayu to go by herself and find some other place to hide. Mayu tensely asks if Harry is joking, pointing out that outside is fully filled with zombies, and she questions how she could escape from that. But before she could do anything, the guards start taking her to throw her out of the room. While being dragged away, Mayu says that she knows Harry was clearly asking her to go and die. In response, Harry furiously shouts at Mayu to stop murmuring and just get lost. Mayu gets thrown out of the room. Afterward, Lin Lear says that it's the consequence of someone refusing her. The zombies start coming towards Mayu. At that moment, Mayu makes herself understand that she has to hold herself back and not cry to avoid giving them a reason to laugh. She realizes that she is so angry that she's willing to pay any price to find someone to help her kill the group of bastards. Suddenly, the zombies attack her, and Mayu feels pity for herself as she now doesn't have any chance for taking revenge. Out of nowhere, Chen Luo arrives and saves Mayu from those zombies. Mayu tries to thank Chen Luo, but Chen Luo puts his hand on her mouth, asking her to be quiet. He tells her that after he and Sudaju clean up the mess, they will talk. Chen Luo praises Dharma for defeating that boy alone and easily. Slowly, Sudaju and Chen Luo wiped out all the zombies in the surroundings. Seeing Chen Luo and Sudaju clearing the zombies, Lin Lear became happy as she was finally saved after hanging on for 5 days. When the zombies were defeated, Lin Lear and the others came out. Lin Lear thanked Chen Luo and Sudaju for saving them and introduced herself as Lin Lear. But deep down, Lin Lear was hoping that Chen Luo and Sudaju would become her fans. Chen Luo ignored Lin Lear and asked Mayu what was going on and if she needed his help with anything. Mayu then started crying and recounted what had happened to her from the beginning to the end. Finally, she cried even harder, saying that she shouldn't have saved them. So basically, in the beginning, Mayu saved them and provided a space for them to live, but now they were all ganging up against her. Chen Luo, upon hearing this, got a little frustrated and Jianand that this was why being kind was hard. To Chen Luo's surprise, Lilin approached him and asked if Chen Luo could send him back home safely. Then, Lilin offered Chen Luo a job at his company after the crisis was resolved, with a monthly salary of 2 lakhs. Hearing this, Sudhaju furiously asks Lilin what he would do if he were rich. Out of nowhere, he hits Lilin with a powerful punch, saying that he hates people who betray others' kindness the most. Seeing this, Lu got shocked and wondered how brave both Chen Luo and Sudhaju were, considering that all those people were big shots. Liu was surprised that they weren't afraid of the potential revenge from those individuals. After receiving the punch, Lilin calmly and slowly acknowledged that he understood they were letting out their anger for what they did to their friend. So, Lilin once again offered them to help him safely return home, and in return, they could mention any condition they wanted. Hearing this, Chen Luo became furious, believing it was pity for all of them. He explained that he followed one principle. If someone was his enemy, he wouldn't let those guys off when he had the chance to eliminate them. Chen Luo then opens his coat to retrieve something and assures Lilin and the others not to worry, stating that even though they offended his friend, he wouldn't kill them. Chen Luo smiles and shares that he would tie all of them up, leaving their fate, whether they live or die, solely to chance. Lilin furiously responds, stating that it was no different from killing, and questions how both Chen Luo and Sudaju could be so ruthless. Sudaju counters by asking if they all had forgotten this issue when they abandoned Mayu, even though she was in a zombie-like state. Lin Lear sits on the ground in front of Chen Luo and starts pleading with him to save her, offering to do anything for her survival. Seeing this, Chen Luo notices that Lin Lear is willing to offer her body to survive. He responds by telling her to get lost, saying she is too dirty. Sudaju starts tying them up, and as Lin Lear is being bound, she mentions that she hasn't taken a shower for a few days, so it's unavoidable that she's dirty. But she asks if he could help her wash her body. Finally, Chen Luo and Sudhaju put a paper ball in everyone's mouth so they couldn't shout. After leaving the dormitory while they were on their way back, Liu came running towards them and expressed his desire to follow them. Chen Luo asks Liu why he thinks he is worth allowing to follow them. In response, Liu hesitates to reply. But before he can articulate his thoughts clearly, Chen Luo offers him a baseball bat and challenges him to kill 10 zombies with it. Chen Luo explains that if Liu is able to accomplish this task, then he would be deemed worthy of following them. Without hesitation, Liu denies Chen Luo's offer, stating that he wouldn't dare to fight zombies with a baseball bat. Chen Luo smiles and thinks to himself that he had already given Liu a chance, but Liu didn't treasure it. Chen Luo informs Liu that he wouldn't let him join the team, but he could offer him some benefits. Chen Luo tells Liu that he is giving him 3 minutes to shop freely, after which he would escort him back to the dormitory as a thank you. Without wasting any time, Liu runs towards the hotel to gather things for himself. While Liu goes to gather essential items, Chen Luo talks to Mayu, expressing that they lack logistics and no one is cooking, so he thought of her. He assures her that instead of washing dishes and pots, he would prefer to fight zombies and guarantees her personal safety. He also promises not to treat her badly, so encountering him was the luckiest thing in her life. Lastly, Chen Luo asks Mayu for her response, if she was willing to go back with him. Without hesitating, Mayu responds with a yes, as she is willing to join. Chen Luo happily welcomes her to the team and tells her that after sending Liu home, they will go back and celebrate with a feast. However, he also tells Mayu that it's obvious she will have to cook for all of them. Mayu's eyes light up, and she responds with an okay. The scene then shifts to night at Chen Luo's home, where Chen Luo is discussing his and Sudhaju's powers. He then asks Mayu if she has felt anything in the past few days, if she has awakened her ability yet. Mayu responds that on the third day, she did have a headache, but she didn't know what her ability is because she had been starving, so she didn't pay attention to it. Chen Luo, upon hearing this, shares that an ability awakened on the third day isn't necessarily good or bad, it's just average. He then asks Mayu to listen to him carefully, as now she had to feel the power inside her body slowly. When Mayu tries to feel it, fire arises from her hand. Seeing this, both of them are stunned. Chen Luo is stunned but happy to see that Mayu has a fire ability, as fire ability users can make cooked food even better and more delicious. The scene then shifts to 1.5 hours later, where we see many types of food served in front of Sudhaju and Chen Luo. They are impressed by the food and very happy, so Chen Luo suggests they start eating without delay. While eating, they feel like they are in heaven because the taste and deliciousness of the food are so good. They feel that finding Mayu was the right thing for them. Now Chen Luo doesn't need to wash dishes anymore. At night, Chen Luo asks Mayu not to rush as he would be showing her to her own room. While showing her the room, Chen Luo asks her to go in and see if she needs anything. She could tell him. He also told her that she could take a shower if she wanted, but she should be careful not to let any water enter her mouth. Chen Luo then asks if she lost her phone, right? So he gives her a phone and a portable charger, telling her that there are movies and novels on the phone that she can read and watch when she is bored. Seeing Chen Luo doing so many things, Mayu is impressed and blushes at the gesture. Chen Luo again shares that they will not go out for the next few days, as they will stay at home and upgrade their abilities. He tells Mayu that he will inform her about the specific upgrade method later. She happily goes into her room, thanking Chen Luo. More days pass, and the scene shifts to the present day where Chen Luo is happy that he has fully reached rank 3. According to the speed, if he wants to reach rank 4, it would take some more days. Chen Luo then decides to go out and gather some more core crystals, and he also resolves to find the sisters, Myling and Millie. He wonders whether the sisters have experienced the suffering of the apocalypse during the past 10 days. Chen Luo realizes that it's not the right time to help them yet, but he decides to keep an eye on them to prevent others from getting their hands on them. He does this because he believes that since it's a revival spell, people with such abilities should belong only to him. Otherwise, it could lead to trouble. Before going out, Chen Luo has a meeting with everyone, during which he tells Mayu that he and Sudhaju will leave to collect crystal cores. He instructs her that when they are not at home, no matter who comes, she should not open the door. Chen Luo emphasizes to Mayu that even if someone were to die in front of her, she cannot open the door. He instructs her to close the door and windows, not to look outside, and not to go outside under any circumstances, warning her that she would face the consequences herself if she did. Mayu assures Chen Luo not to worry, as she understands. The scene then shifts to some time later, where Chen Luo and Sudaju are fighting with zombies. Chen Luo asks Sudaju how many core crystals they have collected. Sudaju responds that they have collected around 500. Chen Luo decides to call it a day for collecting crystals since they have enough. Afterward, he suggests that they should check on the Mi sisters, as he remembers they live in the area ahead. Chen Luo asks Sudaju to go back on the truck first, as he would bring Lightning King Dharma for a stroll and finish off the remaining ones. Sudaju happily agrees with it. The scene then shifts to some time later, where Chen Luo reaches the Mi sisters' house and shares with Dharma that he remembers the sisters live on the 3rd floor in room 201. Chen Luo asks Dharma to go and check if there is someone in room 201. To Chen Luo's surprise, Dharma responds with a yes and gets happy, as finally Chen Luo is assigning something that should be done by a doctor. Suddenly, Dharma starts running towards the bushes and begins fighting with someone, catching Chen Luo off guard. Chen Luo was continuously shouting for Dharma to come back. Surprisingly, he sees a cat coming out from the bushes, realizing that Dharma was actually chasing a cat. Chen Luo feels pity for the cat and considers taking her as a pet. Dharma, however, is biting the cat, so Chen Luo tensely asks him not to harm her. To Chen Luo's shock, the cat also speaks, telling him to tell the stupid dog to let her go. Hearing the cat speak, Chen Luo is stunned and wonders if the cat has acquired the ability of telepathy. He gets excited upon realizing this and decides to make her his own pet. Chenluo asks Dharma to leave, expressing his dismay at how rough Dharma was being with the cat. Despite Chenluo's intervention, Dharma continues to stare at him strangely, prompting Chenluo to go and separate them. After separating them, Chenluo shouts at Dharma, who makes a weird face, accepting that it's his fault. As Chenluo holds the cat, she tells him that she didn't provoke Dharma, nor did she attack him, yet the dog bit her, which was unfair. Chenluo responds with a yes, agreeing that the dog's behavior was bad. Suddenly, the cat sniffs something and confusingly asks Chenluo if he has dried fish, as she thinks he does. Chenluo is shocked to hear this and wonders how the cat knows, whether it's her intuition or something else. Still, Chenluo thinks that he shouldn't mind her eating it, as after eating his things, she would be his cat. Suddenly, a girl's voice comes from above, asking for her rice. When Chenluo looks up, he is surprised to see that it's Millie. Chenluo realizes that the cat's name is Rice, and it belongs to Millie. However, he wonders why he had not seen the cat in his previous life, and why the sisters never mentioned her before. While Chenluo is lost in thought, Millie comes down and asks Chenluo to give back her cat. Chenluo smiles, thinking that it was still worth it coming to her place. Millie snatches her cat from Chenluo's hand and apologizes to Rice for something. Seeing this, Chenluo thinks that it looks like the two sisters didn't stay together because if Millie were there, she definitely wouldn't let Millie come out alone. Millie says goodbye to Chenluo and starts to leave. But surprisingly, the cat starts acting strangely, telling Millie to let her go because Chenluo had dried fish and he wasn't a bad person. Somehow, the cat manages to free herself from Millie's lap. Rice goes towards Chenluo and tells him that she hasn't eaten dried fish for a week already, so please give her some. At that moment, Chenluo wonders what to do, debating whether he should use the chance to persuade the younger sister, Millie, to join him. Chenluo lifts Rice up and tells her that the Super Chenjianane definitely has dried fish, and he will take her there. Then, Chenluo tries to ask Millie why they don't cooperate and search for resources together. Millie hesitates in answering him, but Rice asks her to accept it, as she can feel that Chenluo doesn't have any bad intentions, and they can trust him. Millie is still hesitating, and seeing this, Rice furiously tells her not to agree and to stay alone at home, as she will go with Chenluo. Rice even pulls Millie, saying that she was still the same and should wait for her to bring the food home. Hearing this, Millie feels ashamed and responds with a no, saying it was nothing like that. Lastly, Millie agrees and tells Chenluo that she will go with them, but they have to wait as she has to get something. After a few minutes, Millie comes back wearing a helmet and holding a wooden rolling pin in her hand. Millie tells Chenluo that she's ready, but gets shocked to see Sudhaju and asks Chenluo who he is. Chenluo responds that Sudhaju is his buddy, and according to the game, Sudhaju is equivalent to a warrior. Chenluo even introduces Dharma, explaining that the dog is a lightning king and can use lightning strikes. Hearing this, Millie is surprised that a dog could use lightning, and realizes that not only Rice has a special ability, but other animals do as well. Chenluo then introduces himself as Chenluo, explaining that his ability is equal to that of a void magician. After the introduction, Chenluo asks about Millie. Millie responds that Chenluo should know about Rice's ability, as Rice can communicate with people. Millie then introduces herself as Millie, explaining that her ability is equivalent to that of a priest. Suddenly, Rice shouts that there are zombies coming towards them. Chenluo asks Millie to be careful, to which Millie responds that she can buff them with strength. So Millie uses her ability, and Chenluo feels amazed, as even though Millie was only at level 1, his power increased by 1/3. However, as fate would have it, Sudhaju is fighting, and Chenluo is left wondering about the ability. Due to his distraction, Chenluo wasn't paying attention to the zombies, allowing one to dodge him and go for attacking King Millie. Chenluo quickly reacts, asking her to move back and let him handle the situation. To Chenluo's surprise, Millie responds with a no, stating that she doesn't need his help because she hasn't fought any zombies before. She sees it as an opportunity to train her combat skills, as she knows she will have to face it sooner or later. Chenluo was impressed because Millie seemed weak on the outside, but was strong on the inside. No wonder she survived until the end. However, Chenluo knew that the power of the rolling pin was limited against zombies, so he asked Sudhaju to pass the iron rod to Millie. While passing the rod, Sudhaju shared that he knew she could do it. After holding the iron rod, Millie tried to make herself believe that she could do it and that she didn't need to be afraid. At the moment a zombie put its hand on her, she hit it with the rod. Even after the zombie was defeated, she kept hitting it. Seeing this, Chenluo became tense and wanted to tell Millie that the zombie was already dead. However, to boost her self-confidence, he remained silent. After defeating the zombie, Millie even vomited at the sight of its dead body. Chenluo praised her and gave her a water bottle to help her feel better. Millie responded with a, "Thanks." Meanwhile, the cat, Rice, was angry and wondering why they were wasting time instead of searching for dried fish. The scene then shifted to some time later on the second floor of the mall, where Chenluo and the others were fighting zombies. After they finished fighting, Chen Luo asked Millie to get a bag and fill it with whatever she wanted, as much as she could. Millie responded with an okay. Rice also came near Chen Luo and asked for help opening a packet of packed fish. Chen Luo wondered why he felt that the cat's abilities should be more than just mental power, as a special ability like telepathy cannot typically be mastered so early in the apocalypse. So he thought of somehow adding the cat to his team. Then, Chen Luo told Rice to eat less of the packed fish because he had fresh ones as well. He also told Rice to come back later, as he would cook him a braised fish at that time. Hearing this, Rice got happy and started celebrating, saying that she would definitely come with him. On the other hand, while Millie was filling her bag with food, she didn't notice that a mutated zombie was coming toward her. But Dharma was quick to sense the presence of the zombie and started barking to alert everyone. Hearing the bark, Millie turned around and was shocked to see the mutated zombie behind her. She tried to retreat, but her feet got stuck in something, and she was unable to move from that spot, with danger looming over her. Even the zombie, upon seeing Millie, became happy because he had been hungry for some time and now had something to eat. Millie threw something towards the mutant zombie to distract it. After distracting the zombie, she tried to run, but accidentally bumped into Chen Luo. Chen Luo had actually come there to see her, but upon seeing the mutant zombie, he was surprised. Seeing the zombie, he remembered that from its appearance, it was a devourer, which he had seen many times in his past life. He shared that devourers had strong strength and defense, and they could also use charge and self-destruct abilities. Chen Luo interpreted that, judging by its size, the devourer was of level 3. He asked Millie not to get scared and to stay behind him for her own safety. Chen Luo began preparing his void sword, but before he could finish, Dharma used a lightning strike on the devourer. Distracted by the attack, Chen Luo seized the opportunity and without hesitation, slashed the devourer with his void sword. With one swift slash, the devourer was destroyed. Afterward, Chen Luo stood in front of Millie, urging her not to look as the corpse was quite disgusting. Trembling with fear, Millie held him tightly and marveled at how Chen Luo had obliterated the mutated monster in a single strike. This made her think of Chen Luo as very handsome and cool. Seeing Millie so scared, Chen Luo asked her to hold his hand as he led her out of the area. After a few seconds, when they were safely outside, Chen Luo told Millie that they had reached their destination and that she could open her eyes. Seeing Chen Luo in front of her, Millie couldn't help but blush, thinking that he looked so smart and handsome. She wondered why she hadn't noticed it until now. Chen Luo, on the other hand, became flustered upon seeing her reaction. At that moment, Chen Luo was pondering that he never thought the appearance of a devourer would assist him in the classic hero saves the beauty scenario, but it was still effective. Seizing the opportunity, he asked Millie if they could form a team together so they could take care of each other. With Chen Luo so close, Millie was blushing with embarrassment, and without thinking, she responded with a yes. Chen Luo then suggested that since they had gathered resources, they could go back and eat together. To Chen Luo's surprise, Millie apologized and explained that she couldn't come because she had to go home and wait for her elder sister, Milling. If Milling came home and saw that she wasn't there, Milling would start panicking and get worried about her. So Millie asked why Chen Luo didn't go back first, as she would wait for her sister and then go home. Hearing this, Rice reacted frustratedly, questioning why Millie had rejected the idea. Rice suggested that Millie could leave a note at home so that Milling wouldn't get worried if she saw it. Rice also mentioned that she had a feeling Milling wouldn't come back today. Chen Luo added that he would make braised fish for them. Rice gave an ultimatum, insisting that Millie had to go no matter what because she wanted to eat that braised fish. Hearing Rice's insistence, Millie became confused and wondered what to do. However, upon Rice's insistence, Millie agreed to go to Chen Luo's home. So Millie asked Chen Luo if his place wasn't far away, to which Chen Luo happily responded that she was right. It wasn't far. The scene then shifted to Chen Luo's home, where Millie and Rice were stunned to see the delicious foods served in front of them. Millie even praised Chen Luo, saying that it was her first time visiting his house, yet he had prepared a fabulous meal for them. Chen Luo responded that it was completely fine because they were companions, and he asked her to eat quickly. While eating, Millie got tears of happiness as the fish was much tastier than she had anticipated. After Millie finished the meal, she thanked Chen Luo for the meal, and then apologized, explaining that she had to get back home because she was scared that her sister Milling would panic if she didn't see her at home. Chen Luo then expressed concern, saying he thought it was very late at night and it would be dangerous for her to stay home alone. He smiled and shared that it didn't matter where he would stay. Chen Luo asked Millie what she thought about Sudaju, himself and Mayu staying at her home. He mentioned that he also wanted to meet her sister, Milling. Chen Luo even suggested another idea, mentioning that there were many unoccupied houses beside hers, so they could move there, allowing everyone to take care of each other. Millie responded with an okay and even tried to correct Chen Luo's mistake by saying that it wasn't just about taking care of each other, but rather it was Chen Luo's one-sided effort to take care of them. Chen Luo happily responded with an okay, as the decision was made. He announced to everyone in the room that they should pack their bags because they were moving to another place. The scene then shifted to some time later when Chen Luo and the others reached Millie's house. Chen Luo asked everyone to be careful once they got off the truck. After they disembarked, Millie hesitantly asked Chen Luo why everyone couldn't stay together at her home, mentioning that her house had 4 bedrooms and 1 living room, so it would be great if everyone could stay together. She hesitated at last, thinking and asking if everyone would feel comfortable staying at her home. Chen Luo smiled, but deep down, he was also happy because Millie had given him a chance to protect her. After some time, at dinner time, Chen Luo was distributing watermelon to everyone. When he offered it to Millie, she started wondering about him. Despite the dangers outside, Chen Luo was protecting her and not only letting her eat delicious food but also giving her light and her favorite watermelon when the power was out. Suddenly, to everyone's surprise, Millie jumped towards Chen Luo and hugged him, expressing that meeting him and her elder sister was the luckiest thing for her. Even Chen Luo got flustered by the hug because Millie's charm was so high that he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Millie even shared that they should be friends from that moment forward, and helping each other was what they should do, so there was no need to be so polite to her. At that moment, Chen Luo felt pity for himself because such a cute girl was with him, but he couldn't do anything as it was his first day meeting her, so he couldn't rush, otherwise his true intentions would be revealed. Chen Luo smiled and asked Millie if she was sure she didn't want to eat the watermelon he had in his hand before hugging him. Hearing this, she backed away from the hug, feeling embarrassed and not responding. Chen Luo then asked Millie how they were all going to stay. Millie shared that Mayu could stay in the room whenever her friends came for a party, and for Sudhaju, she offered her sister's study room, telling him he could sleep there after setting up the bed. Lastly, she told Chen Luo that he could stay in her sister's room. Hearing this, Chen Luo was stunned and wondered where Milling would stay when she came back. However, for the time being, he decided not to think too much about it, and agreed to stay first. Chen Luo then handed some crystals to Millie, telling her that he would help her understand how to use them. He explained the process to her and then asked if she understood. Millie, looking confused, responded with a hesitant yes. Chen Luo then asked her to go back to her room and try it out, as he was going to rest. Millie agreed, wishing Chen Luo a good night. However, to Chen Luo's surprise, when he opened the door to his room and entered, he was shocked to see Rice inside, asking him why he came back so late. Even Rice got close to Chen Luo and started acting like a cat, telling him that she would sleep with him that night and with Millie the next night. Chen Luo was happy and began playing with her, knowing that cats enjoy playing with their owners. He told Rice that she was a naughty cat, so he would pamper her for the night, but she had to sleep with Millie next. Rice responded with an okay. In the morning, the scene shifts to somewhere else, where zombies were being attacked by someone with fire abilities. Here, new characters are introduced, 2 boys and Meiling, the elder sister of Millie. The boys' names were Zhang Zhen and Wang Xinwu. They were both classmates of Meiling. While fighting zombies, they were getting scared and asked Meiling why she didn't fight the zombies instead of them. Hearing this, Meiling got furious, wondering if they would stop hiding behind her back or not. When more zombies approached, they got scared and hid behind Meiling for safety. Meiling tried to fight them off, but after a while she realized that using the fire ability was draining too much energy. Even though she had become rank 2, she couldn't continuously fight the zombies. The scene then shifted to sometime later at Millie's home, where Meiling came back and was meeting with Millie. Chen Luo was happy to see Meiling back, and witnessing the sisters' reunion in front of him made him enjoy the moment. Suddenly, Chen Luo saw Zhang and Wang and wondered who those 2 guys were. On the other hand, Zhang and Wang were discussing with each other in a secretive manner. Zhang mentioned that Meiling was the campus beauty, but Millie wasn't any worse than her sister Meiling, so they were right to accompany Meiling. Wang agreed with his points, suggesting that if they could get both girls interested in them, then it would be very awesome. After which, they looked at Chen Luo and wondered who he was. Wang asks Zhang why that boy is with Millie. Off, Zhang responds that he wasn't sure because he didn't think that Meiling had an older or younger brother. On the other side, Meiling also confusingly asks Millie about Chen Luo. Millie then introduced Chen Luo, as when Meiling wasn't there for her care, Chen Luo took care of her. Meiling responds that she got it and was thinking that Millie was looking fine, as it seems that Millie had been well taken care of. On the other hand, Wang thought that Meiling was hard to interact with since her younger sister was also good-looking. Zhang also wonders if he should change the target from Meiling to Millie and take her down first. So Zhang got in front with a packet of bread and told Millie that he knew she was hungry, so she should take that packet of bread. Seeing this, Wang got tensed and took out a sausage, saying that Millie didn't need to be polite with them, and offered her a sausage for eating. Zhang got furious over Wang and was wondering whether Wang was planning to have a hard time after this. Millie got tensed by their sudden offers of food and told them sorry, as she wasn't hungry, so they could keep their food. Chen Luo was also smiling, thinking that those 2 kids were mad as their intentions were too obvious. So Chenlo asks them why they both don't go up first and catch up with old times later. Millie also agreed with Chenluo and asked Miling to go back home as it wasn't safe for them to stay on the road. Miling, hearing it, thought that she was very dumb to find those two burdens, and she couldn't let them continue being burdens for her and her sister, so it would be nice as they could have a breakup meal. So she also agreed with Millie and Chenluo about going back home. Hearing this made Zhang happy, as finally his cohabitation life with Campus Beauty will begin now. And Wang also got happy thinking that if he and Miling lived together, wouldn't they become closer and his plan would succeed? Both were fully wondering about just being with Miling, as they weren't paying attention to that. They were just being a burden on her by not fighting and getting their respect down in the eyes of Miling. Miling asks Millie whether there was food at their home. Hearing this, Chenluo wonders that, of course, they had food until they followed him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had to dream about it. So Chenluo came up and asked Mayu whether they had some rice to eat. If yes, cook some. At that time, he was thinking that since Miling was Mil's sister, not giving her anything to eat wouldn't be polite. On the other hand, Mayu got confused and wondered if they weren't going to prepare barbecue. Upon getting inside, Zhang tells Chenluo that it's tough to live for everyone at a time like that, but he's still raising a dog. Wang also agreed with Zhang, saying that he just heard Chenluo say that they only have some rice. So if it's all eaten, what are they going to do? Hearing this, Dharma got furious as he heard that they were both dreaming about eating him. Seeing Dharma like that, Zhang tensely shouts that the dog is so fierce and asks what the dog hurts. Mealing, so they must cook him and eat it. Wang also shows bravery by saying that they should leave that work to him and just get ready to eat that dog's meat. Off, Chenluo told them that it was enough of them and that they didn't have enough food to feed the dogs. But soon Chenluo makes a sarcastic comment, saying that, by a dog, he means both of them, so they get lost. Hearing it, Zhang got furious and asked Chenluo to watch his words to see if he had ever fought with a zombie before. Off, to which Chenluo responds with a no. Zhang, hearing it, smiles and describes Chenluo as a coward who only dares to hide at home. Zhang then goes to Miling and asks if she knows they followed her, suffering a lot, and she even knows how dangerous it was all the way. Zhang also asks, Miling knows how hard it is for a human to live. But still, Chenluo feeds his dog food. Wasn't it a waste of food? Wang also shouts and asks that they staved all along the way, so shouldn't they be the ones to eat it? Zhang clarified that they weren't eating all of it, as everyone could eat together. Miling got angry hearing their shut and asked them to be quiet, as they thought she didn't know why they followed her or how much they had done. Hearing this, Zhang and Wang both get furious and ask Miling to wait, as they will regret it messing with them. At that time, Chenluo pats Dharma and asks him to kill them. Otherwise, he has to handle their corpses. Dharma was happy as he was waiting for such an order, so he told Chenluo to leave everything to him. Miling saw Dharma going towards Zhang, and Wang got confused about why the dog was following them and whether he was seeking death. After that debate, Mayu came to Chenluo and told him that it wasn't any problem, as if she were cooking now, it would take at least an hour. Chenluo responded that it was fine, she should slowly finish dish by dish. Then Chenluo asks Millie to get in the room, as he has something to talk to her about. Millie responded with an okay, as she was coming. Seeing this, Miling got tensed and wondered if a man and woman were entering the same room. Mysteriously, what on earth was Chenluo going to do with Mil? Inside the room, Chenluo takes Millie near the wall, makes her stand against the wall in a romantic pose, and asks her if she is now worried about food and drinks after following him. Millie was feeling embarrassed in that position and was blushing, but still, she responded with a yes. Chenluo again asks that being together with him, she feels safe and not scared, right? She again responds with a yes. Chenluo then goes more closely and asks that because she was good, listened to him, and was capable, he treats her well. But what about her sister, Miling? Whether Miling would listen to him or not. Hearing this, Millie wonders that Miling always had her own opinion and also that she wasn't familiar with Chenluo, so there was a high probability that she wouldn't listen to him. Chenluo then asks Millie what she thinks about him and her sister, who could lead everyone better. Without any hesitation, Millie responds that, of course, it was him, which Chenluo that they must do. Hearing this, she got tense and asked what they must do. At that time, Chenluo thought that it would be very evil to say that to train Miling until she listened. Chenluo said that they should let Miling obey him and treat him as a captain. Otherwise, during critical movements, he and her sister would get into arguments, which would be troublesome. Chenluo again asks whether she got it or not. Millie responds that she got it, as she must have let Miling listen to him. Chenluo then told Miling that before Miling obeyed him, he would not share any resources with her, so Miling could only watch them eat together. And when Miling listened to him, then they would give food to her. He even asks her to remember that they were doing it for Miling's sake. Millie agreed because it was for her sister's good. On the other side, in the kitchen Luo, seeing so many vegetables, Milling asks Mayu why she has taken so many things, how many dishes she is going to prepare, and whether Mayu isn't caring about the future. Hearing this, Milling understood and was told that she thought it was wasteful to talk to her, so she was going to talk directly with Chen Luo. Milling asks Chen Luo to tell Mayu to make fewer dishes as if they were all today. What would they eat the next day? Chen Luo responds that it was the day of Meili and her reunion, and if Meili was happy, then they must celebrate. Milling was still against it, even though making so much food was very luxurious. Chen Luo told her that it was his problem and not hers, so she didn't need to feel tension. At that time, Milling wonders if it was her fault that she ate too quickly. Although she still wants to eat, her stomach wouldn't be able to eat much more. Even though she thought that there were so many dishes, they definitely couldn't finish eating them all. Still, she was impressed by the smell of the dish. The scene then shifted to 1 hour later, when food was ready, and Mayu was serving it on the dining table. At that time, Milling noticed that there were a total of 5 members, but still, there were 4 bottles, and he wondered, could it be that there weren't enough? So she decided that she wouldn't drink the bottle and just eat dishes and drink soup. When Mayu served completely, she told everyone that they could do it, so everyone sits on their respective chairs. But to Milling's surprise, Chen Luo asks her, why did she sit down on the chair? Hearing that, she angrily asks, wasn't it the same place where she sits always? Meili was feeling bad, and deep down she was asking for sorry, but she thought that Chen Luo was a nice person, so for the future, Milling had to bear it. Chen Luo told me that they were going to it and asked that it wasn't appreciated for her to sit, right? He acts stone-hearted and tells Milling that if she wants to watch them eat, she can sit down near them. Hearing that, Milling was stunned and confusedly asked, why did he mean that she didn't have her share? Milling also asks, didn't he say that the meal was for the reunion of her and Mill? Chen Luo responds that he didn't promise to let her join them for dinner, as except for her, everyone was on his side, as he would only let people on his side eat delicacies that he risked his life to obtain. He then asks Millie if she is on his side. Off, Milling shared with Milling that she was on Chen Luo's side. Chen Luo then asks Sudaju and Mayu about their choices. Sudaju told Chen Luo that no matter what, he would always accompany her. And Mayu shares that, from the moment he saved her, her whole life belonged to him. Dharma also barks for saying that he was on his master's side. And the cat named Rice also told me that, with so many delicious foods, she would always be by Chen Luo's side. Chen Luo then asks Milling to see, as around the whole table everyone was on his side, so he was willing to share everything with them. But who was Milling, as he thinks Milling wasn't qualified to eat with them? Unless she would also listen to him and join his side, then she could eat with them. Milling, hearing all that, got furious and asked if he wanted to ridicule her with just a meal. She then stood up, hitting her hand on the table, asking Chen Luo not to go overboard. Milling then told him that she wouldn't eat it as she doesn't eat food that easily. But Milling was thinking that it was just a meal, and Chen Luo was trying to ridicule her. So Milling gets aside and stands there, near them. While she was standing there, Chen Luo started praising Mayu for the chicken, as it was very delicious. He also asks Melito try the spicy crab, as it tastes great. Meili thanks him for that. After that, Chen Luo gives the braised fish rice, saying that it was the dried, fragrant fish she requested from him. Milling got frustrated hearing all that about food and told Millie that she was going into her room. But Milling got pissed off when she saw Chen Luo's underwear in her room. Milling furiously shouts over Millie, as Millie was so nice that she let that bastard Chen Luo live in her sister's room. So Millie came running towards Milling's room and asked, sorry that she forgot to tell her that while she was away, Chen Luo temporarily stayed in her room. Millie also asks Milling not to worry, as Chen Luo is a gentleman, so she promises that he won't mess up her room. Milling responded with an okay just because he took care of her, so she would let Chen Luo live in her room. Millie then told Chen Luo that Milling could take a shower. She just didn't let water enter her mouth, and if she felt unreformable, she could simply rinse for a while. Milling responds that she got it, so now Millie could go back. Milling then goes for a bath, and while bathing, she thinks that she feels like a loner, as even her sister is with someone instead of her just for delicious food. She also wonders how many things could be kept inside a small fridge, and lastly, she thinks of making Chen Luo see who takes the last laugh. After bathing, when Milling was wearing clothes, she heard Chen Luo asking everyone why they didn't eat some fruits, like grapes. Hearing this, she got pissed off, as out of so many fruits, why were they all eating her favorite fruit, grapes? Milling started getting cravings for grapes, but somehow she made herself rigid against it, thinking that it was the apocalypse, so the grapes must be the frozen ones. They were not fresh or tasty, and she wasn't hungry at all. Milling then comes out of the room and calls Millie. Seeing Milling Chen Luo, he was amazed and was praising her beauty, as even she made him have dirty thoughts for her. Milling came to ask Melito come with her to her room, as she had to talk with Mill. While Millie was going, Chen Luo asked her to come back quickly as the grapes were too sweet, so he would save some grapes for her. Also, Chen Luo said that when eating grapes, no one spits out the grape skin, and when not eating grapes, it spits out the grape skin. Chen Luo was saying that to attract Meiling towards him for eating grapes, and she was even having fun doing that, but Meiling knows that Chen Luo was doing it on purpose, due to which she was getting frustrated with him. In the room, Meiling pushed Millie onto the bed, held her hand tightly, and asked whether Millie hadn't gotten so bold as she was teaming up with a stranger to get on her sister's nerves. Meiling then started tickling and asked Millie to speak about what was going on and why Millie didn't help her at the dining table. Millie started laughing due to tickling and asked Meiling to stop, as she would tell everything. Millie then told me that they had become a team with mutual understanding, and to prevent any disagreement during critical moments, everyone agreed that Chen Luo should be their captain. She continues to say that Chen Luo was afraid that Meiling wouldn't listen to him, so he purposely did that to her. Millie also told her that even though he shared this thing with her beforehand, she thought it was reasonable. Hearing all this, Meiling got tensed and asked whether Meiling got brainwashed. Meiling furiously said that if Chen Luo showed sufficient combat ability, she would naturally listen to him, but he used such a lowly, cowardly method instead. Meiling then laughs and asks Millie, "Did Chen Luo think he could use a meal to make her join his side?" Millie tensely asks what Meiling plans to do, as it wouldn't be good if she continued to go against Chen Luo. Meiling responds that if Chen Luo wants her to listen to him, then he must show strong combat ability, and she would fight against him and see who was going to have the last laugh. Meiling then got ready and started getting outside. Seeing which, Millie tensely asks, "Where was Meiling going?" "Off." Meiling responds that she didn't dare to eat someone's thing, as she naturally needed to go out to the district to search for food and drinks. Millie tried to stop Meiling, saying that it was too late and that Meiling encountered a danger. But Meiling wasn't hearing, so Millie asked Chen Luo if her sister was going out, to please persuade her. First, Chen Luo asks for a sorry from Millie if he doesn't have any miserable reasons to stop her sister, but if Millie is worried, she could let Rice go with her. As with Rice, Meiling could get alerted to any danger in advance. Hearing which Rice was during that wasn't being with Chen Luo was good. Why was Meiling so willful? Even Chen Luo asks Dharma to follow Meiling, off which Dharma gets annoyed as he doesn't want to go outside on such a hot day. Seeing that Chen Luo is sending the pets, Millie asks whether she could also go to help her sister. Chen Luo responds that she can of course go, but she has to take note of her safety and even asks Melito take a baton with her. While everyone went, Chen Luo was wondering why he shouldn't use such a way to deal with Meiling. Chen Luo then remembers past lives, as in past lives, Meiling always shouted at him for stealing vegetables and even beat him for that. So that's why, because of Meiling kicking his butt in his past life, Chen Luo was taking revenge, which wasn't overboard at all. But soon he thinks that it wasn't good, as he had too quickly made Meiling join his side. The scene then shifted to 10 minutes later, when Meiling came back